In 1879, a vicious gang of outlaws called the Cowboys terrorized the Arizona town of Tombstone. At the same time, legendary lawman Wyatt Earp and his two brothers have settled down in Tombstone with plans to retire and live out their remaining days as civilians. But the townsfolk need saving from the sadistic Cowboys, and only Wyatt, Virgil, Morgan, and Wyatt's anti-heroic friend Doc Holliday can stand up to the gang and save the town in the 1993 Western classic Tombstone. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
And I'm Isabel Gonzalez.
And this is Fake True Stories.
Yay.
Welcome to the
Another
Filmgazm.
one.
Welcome to the Filmgazm podcast. Specifically, welcome to our spinoff podcast, Fake True Stories, where Isabel and I discuss the historical accuracy or inaccuracy of films that claim to be based on or inspired by true events. Today's pick is Tombstone, a 90s cult classic that dramatically retells the events that led up to the gunfight at the OK Corral, in which Wyatt Earp, his brothers, and Doc Holliday fought members of the Cowboys in a gunfight that lasted 30 seconds and resulted in 3 casualties and 3 wounded. The event became an iconic piece of American lore and has been adapted to film several times, including 1946's My Darling Clementine, 1957's Gunfight at the OK Corral, 1967's Hour of the Gun, 1971's Doc, 1993's Tombstone, and 1994's Wyatt Earp. Tombstone is arguably the most popular adaptation. 6 times the story's been done. Have you seen any of these besides Tombstone?
No, but there's a new one.
Tombstone Rashomon. I'm not including that one.
Oh, no. Okay. Never mind. But no, I've only seen Tombstone. But that's the one because I was looking up to see where I could watch this before I used Vudu. And I was like, what the heck is that? Like, that's not what I'm looking for. And I didn't know what it was. So I didn't even look at it. But
pulpy and like very odd. So I don't know if I'm going to consider that an official adaptation of the history. I've seen 1957's Gunfight at the OK Corral, starring Burt Lancaster as Wyatt Earp and Kirk Douglas as Doc Holliday. Not bad, a little over dramatic. I find it interesting that 30 seconds of American history has become so crazily iconic that it's been adapted to film 6 different times.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah. Wyatt Earp, the 1994 Kevin Costner version, is like 3.5 hours long, and from what I hear, quite dull. Did not make its money back, but was a critical success. Got nominated for a few Oscars. I think Costner plays Wyatt Earp, and I think Dennis Quaid plays Doc Holliday. No one's beating Kilmer. Even all the negative reviews I read were like, the movie sucks, but Kilmer's pretty good.
So before, I know usually you ask a question at the beginning. I actually have a question for you that I just thought of. Because I'm not a movie person. I don't know a lot how movies work. What makes something a cult classic? Because that like little like exclamation point went on my head when you said that. Because like I feel like this is a really popular movie. Because when I think of cult classic, I think of like The Room or Rocky Horror, where like most people are like, that's a shit movie. But then there's like the few people that are like, but this one, I don't. What makes it a cult classic, or what makes a movie a cult classic?
That's a very good question. Cult classic is a term that really gets thrown around a lot these days to pretty much just represent any movie that people like, and that's just not true. Typically, a cult classic is a movie that, when it came out, did not do that well, did not perform well, didn't make a lot of money, critics didn't like it, nobody paid attention. But then over time, it grew an audience gradually of people who discovered it on tape or on DVD or on HBO or whatever, and now it's popular in certain circles. That's typically what a cult classic is. So if a movie comes out and makes like, $2 billion on its, opening weekend, it's not a cult classic. Might be a good movie, but it's not a cult classic. But a movie that makes, loses $50 million and nobody watched it for 2 years, and then it makes, breathes new life on Netflix, and people are like, oh my God, why didn't I like this? That's a cult classic.
Okay.
Yeah, the cult.
That makes sense.
The cult in question are the millions of movie watchers like me who just watch anything they can find, hoping to find something amazing.
Yeah. So it's like Nacho Libre for example, or like Napoleon Dynamite. Like those are like cult classics because they were not, people didn't like them. I liked them initially, but Nacho Libre has had a really big comeback with TikTok over the last year or so because people are constantly playing the real religious man song. So
yeah, like of the ones we've covered on this, like 300, Pocahontas, those are not cult classics. Those are box office successes. But like Death of Stalin, definitely. Yeah. Is that clear? That cleared up?
Yes, I understand now. Thank you.
Of course. I have 2 questions for you. First up, are you my Huckleberry?
Huckleberry or Huckleberry?
There is a difference.
There is. There is. Oh, such an iconic line. I love it.
It's great.
I love it.
Now here's the real question. Wyatt Earp once said, quote, "A man has to do what he has to do, regardless of the consequences." Do you agree with that? And why or why not?
That's some like Les Mis type questioning there. A man has to do what he has to do regardless of the consequences. Is that what it was?
Yes.
Man got to do what a man got to do. What do you got to do? Like, I really got to take a dump in the middle of this public city because I just really got to do it. I don't care what the consequences are. Like, that could be misconstrued, interpreted, whatever, for a lot of different things.
I don't think he's talking about taking a shit in the street. I'm pretty sure that's not what this is about. But God damn it. You completely ruined the significance of that quote. Oh.
This is no longer a philosophical debate.
God damn it.
Or discussion.
If you look at this, like the scope of Wyatt Earp's life and what he dealt with and what he fought, and he wasn't exactly a hero,
No.
He was a kind of a scoundrel who ended up with a badge.
Mm-hmm.
But he's talking about like, you got to defend, a man's got to defend his honor, defend his woman, defend his children, and then deal with the consequences should they arise. And I don't know if I agree with that. I think that sometimes people who think like that are often looking for trouble.
Sometimes you just gotta swallow your pride with some things.
Yeah. Yeah, but when you're, in the Old West, you didn't do that shit. Like if somebody like, slapped you and called you yellow, you did something about it.
Well, it's like with nose pulling. I don't remember when I had to read. I think it was in my public history courses. Nose pulling in the early 19th century was like a huge deal. Like if you went up and pulled someone's nose, you're gonna get fucked up. Someone is gonna mess you up because you just called them a liar by literally pulling their nose. Andrew Jackson, unsurprisingly, beat the shit out of somebody with a cane because they tried to pull his nose. And he's like, "You did what?" And he went for, and this was like when he was old. I don't think this was even like when he was like as like president, which he was already like older. But like this was like when he was like, but like old hickory never die, bro. Like he, but yeah, I don't know. I think it just depends. It's like that Jean Valjean thing. Like he stole bread to feed his family. They were dying. He had to do it and is suffering the consequence. But he was like, I shouldn't be suffering these consequences because this is not a bad thing that I did. I didn't steal from another poor person, which I guess you could argue that he did because everybody was pretty much poor at that point, and so you just stole from the bread. But you know what I mean? Like it just, I don't know. I don't think everything needs to be like, I have to do that. That guy whistled at you. I gotta go beat his ass and maybe get shot. Like, not worth it. No, don't do it. Like, I'm okay. Like, somebody flips me off. Yeah, I should go and road rage them too. But also, I don't want to get shot. I don't want to get a ticket. I'm not gonna suffer the consequence. I'll just be like angry at them and just be like, I bite my thumb at you, sir, and like just let them go on with their day and be like, I hope they get soggy French fries the next time they go to McDonald's and just wish that upon them, and that's it. It's not the same as like some guy challenges you to a duel or like kills your brother and you got to go on a vendetta ride. But I don't think anything deserves,
It was different in, a time where law and order was more of an idea than an actual enforcement of law. And people took the law into their own hands in violent, crazy ways when they felt they were owed something. You can't apply that kind of thinking to the modern age, or you end up with psychos. And people were so okay with death and destruction and vengeance that it's amazing, like, it was ever tamed. As we see in the movie, this is a world run by gangs and outlaws and nut jobs who live by the gun. Wyatt Earp just happened to be a nut job who lived by the gun with a little bit of a stricter code of honor. Mm-hmm. But like, I wonder if because it's from Wyatt Earp, that quote has like people see it as more noble. Like, if let's pick a historical let's say Genghis Khan said that, would we be like, yeah, you do you, or would we be like, what a nutcase?
What a dick.
Yeah.
Oh man, we hate him. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it just depends on who says it. Yeah. It's interesting. Also, I find it. Oh, no, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, like, also taking it back to Andrew Jackson, it's kind of funny how when you look at the scope of the presidents and who they really were, so many of them were completely out of their goddamn minds.
Jackson was wild, dude. Like, homie, he hot tempered. Like, he beat people with his freaking cane, and just he was like crazy dude. He's wild. Very interesting character in history in general. Like, a very interesting guy to learn about. I don't know too much about him except for those like interesting, just like, yeah, like he beat someone with a cane and he got pissed because they tried to do it. It's always like he got mad at somebody and tried to beat them up. Like, it's always stories like that.
I recommend checking out the Time Suck episode on Andrew Jackson, because it really tells you, like, he was a monster. He was a complete racist, crazy person who had complete power over the United States and abused it. So
because isn't he? Didn't he take us off the gold standard?
I think so.
Or did he I think that was one of the things. He did something with the bank. He didn't like the banks.
He was responsible for the Trail of Tears.
Well, I know that. Yeah, the Indian Expulsion Act.
Yeah, and yeah,
bye.
He was very much just like, don't you talk back to me, or you're getting the stick.
I'm gonna beat you up.
Yeah, and he didn't suffer fools. He did not make idle threats. He was nuts. Andrew Jackson it was like if we elected like the bad guy in a Sylvester Stallone movie for like twice.
Not just once. We did it again.
Twice. 2 terms. 2-term president.
I don't know. Maybe not like the racists and stuff like that, but maybe the like crazy like firecrackeriness is what we need, because all of our dudes are just like dinosaurs and they like reboot Windows every 2 seconds that they're on screen, and you're just like, oh my god, what's wrong with y'all? And I'm sorry, I work for the government. I'm a little pissed that they're about to keep getting paid $174,000 a year to do nothing and to argue about how much money they're going to spend of money that doesn't exist, when like 4 million Americans who also work for the government are just going to get a big like middle finger to your faces. And then there's people that also work for the government that don't, like, they work in government agencies but don't work for the government. Like, for example, fun fact, national park bookstores for the most part are not run by the National Park Service. It's a nonprofit entity that partners with the Park Service, so the money goes to the Park Service and helps fund it and stuff. So like my coworkers, when we get shut down, they're not going to have a job too. They don't get furloughed because they're not federal employees, so they don't get the like back pay or whatever. And it's same with like a lot of stuff. It's stupid. So maybe we do need someone that's like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you if you don't pass this money, and just, bah! Like I don't know. Like, I was telling my coworker, I was like, I'm probably not going to be allowed to work as a park ranger again, because there's probably like a little what's it called? There's probably a little, you can't here. There's probably a microchip in my badge that's like listening to me, because I told him, I was like, I'm not saying we should Robespierre this, but I get it. Like, I get why the French Revolution happened. I understand. I'm not saying to cut people's heads off, but I understand, because I'm a little mad right now. Like, I'm good. I've saved money, but come on now.
I'll advocate chopping the heads off. That's the only way you get your point across.
I think they just need to get their funding slashed. Them specifically, they get paid as much as an average American does, which is $59,000. All of them together without like the special pay for being speaker or minority leader. Right now, with their current salaries for just the 535 representatives and senators, $91 million covers their salary for a year. If they go down to the American, like average American salary, 31 million. So 61 could go and fund other things. And they're still going to get paid that. They're still going to get paid that. They got paid that during COVID. They're going to get paid that during the shutdown. They're going to get paid that for whatever they want. They will never agree on anything except, oh, yes, we still want to keep our money. Yes, 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 yes. Six figure. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, but we're going to tax everybody else. Not us, though. No. It's like the kids I worked with in school. No. They like shake their hands and look away from you. They don't make eye contact there. No, 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 no. We need Andrew Jackson mentality and not the racist, we hate Native American sense, but in that I'm going to beat the fuck out of you if you don't compromise. Or I don't know, like that's a very big tangent. I've been very stressed about it.
When you have, I think I used this analogy in a recent episode on something else. I don't know why this has been on my mind lately a lot, but when you have wood rot, you got to cut it out. You can't fix it. You got to cut that shit out. You got to get new wood. That's what we need. We have nothing but wood rot in the government. We got to clear that shit out. We got to get new wood and we got to deal with it from there. I'm so tired of these 90-year-old motherfuckers who don't know how the world works, who don't care about their job, who don't care about their constituencies, just collecting a check and bitching in front of a microphone. I'm so tired of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've been watching the Napoleon trailer a lot, because the French Revolution, worked. I mean, yeah, they ended up with Napoleon, but, that could be a good or bad thing depending on who you're talking to. But it worked. There was change. I'm surprised we haven't had an uprising like that in our recent history. Like you'd think that by this point, somebody would have been hit a little too hard.
I'm not lying. I'm kind of at the point where I want to do that. I'm like, I'm going to change trajectories and become a revolutionary. I don't want to like kill people or anything like that. I just really want to go and I want to line every single person up in our elected body and just slap them, just bah, 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 and then be like, slash your funding. You don't care when you're getting paid this much money. Like you're clearly not in it for the people anymore. Because for example, I'm looking it up because I'm mad now. Like we're going off topic. If we were in the Wild West, we'd kill these dudes. Anyway, the longest serving congressional person in there he's currently in there is Chuck Grassley. He's a Republican from Iowa. He was born in 1933. Okay, just to give you an idea, homie, 90 years old. He has been in office for 48 years, 268 days. So for about 49 years is how long he's been there. Multiply that by the salary, which this has not been the same salary this whole time. But if he was getting, the 175,000, the whole whatever, $8.5 million. None of us listening to this podcast are ever going to see that much money. It's like the John Mulaney bit. You can you can pay or whatever to see the $1 million, or you can pay $10 and have it added to the $1 million. That's what it's insane how much it is. So if they all get their budget, you only get paid average American salary, they're going to be like, this salary sucks. Maybe we should make some changes to make our place better for people, because I'm not in it for the money, because I'm making shit. And I live in DC, which is a very expensive place that's also filled with homeless people. And they just kind of like put them all aside. They're all drugged out and sad. And that's our nation's capital. I'm sad. I don't like being an adult, Connor. I don't like that we can have conversations about thinking that there's too much marshmallows and Lucky Charms and thinking about government shutdowns and stuff. I want to go back to being a kid in 2008 when the recession was happening and I had no idea that shit was going on, and I was just watching like Teen Titans and it was great. I want that again. Take me back. I'm mad. Like I'm so pissed.
Well, you can do what I do, which is turn off the news and watch Teen Titans and just ignore the dumpster fire that's out of your control. That's the thing.
I don't even watch the news. I'm only watching it because I'm about to not have a job for who knows how long while they keep getting paid. That's why, because I found out they were getting paid and then I got mad. So we need to go and bah, we
Well,
got a vendetta ride and we got to go like bonk them. I'm not saying to kill anybody. That is for legal purposes, FBI agent. I am not inciting violence. However, we need to get a bunch of picket signs and do the South Park rebel, 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 like outside of the U.S. Capitol for at least like 3 days and just and like get tomatoes and stuff and like old fashioned, let's do it. And like maybe you could like burn some effigies. You're not actually killing somebody, but you're making a point. If Death President Now movement in the 80s could burn effigies of a woman at Gallaudet University, I think we can burn effigies of things without actually, I don't know. I'm about to get I'm about to get shot. Biden's gonna send the Secret Service to kill me. He's gonna send his dog who bit another Secret Service man. His dog's gonna come kill me.
well, since you don't want to, kill anybody, which is
No,
where,
I don't want to. I don't
frankly,
wish death
that's where
upon
the
anybody.
results
I'm just
happen. Just
mad. No, because I feel like that could get just too chaotic. Like the French Revolution, they got a dictator out of that. Like freaking Napoleon came into power. It wasn't like, oh, look, we did. No, like it was not that great of a situation. They got freaking Napoleon, but
well, you do
still,
it.
I don't
You
know.
learn from the mistakes of the past. You don't let some power hungry asshole who controls the military take over the nation. You somehow you stop that. I don't know how you'd stop that, but we would try.
We do what we did in 1776.
Hmm.
We just got to start another country with blackjack and hookers. Everybody just resecede and we'll just do it again. We'll be like, fuck you. Like, we're out. And then it's going to be a civil war. And then it's going to be wild and it's going to be awful. And I'm
No,
going to be making sourdough bread this whole time and just be like,
I'm not.
dying.
I am not pro secession. I am not pro Civil War. No, 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 no. I think you need to run for public office. I think you seem like the kind of person who could actually change things from the inside, or at least try until you got shot.
I'm going to sleep my way through it.
I think you need to move to Iowa and unseat that fucking 90-year-old prick.
No, because that would be awful. Because that would be like the dude. So I had a representative back home. He passed away. He's a really nice guy. He was a freshman. He wasn't there long enough to get corrupted or anything. I think most people that go into it with good intentions because they're like, I want to change something. Then they get that $175,000 check and they're like, I'm gonna get that incumbency and just keep getting like, oh, it doesn't matter, you just keep getting whatever. But he was only in there for like a term, and then he had lung cancer, he got COVID, and he passed away. When he died, his seat was up for grabs, right? People from across the country moved to our district, were there for like a month, as long as you needed to be able to file, so they could be like, oh, my name's Big Dan Tex. I'm from New Jersey, and howdy, y'all. Like, fuck you. Like, go sit and spin, dude. I hate you. Like, we see right through a lot of the candidates just moved. They just moved to the district and we're like, look at me, like I'm running for the I know. Yep, I know the Cowboys play in Dallas. Like, nope, no, they don't. Like, you don't even know where you're at. What's our favorite grocery store? If you say HEB, you're wrong because we don't have one. Like,
Here's the problem. The good people who want to make change in the government, they won't play as dirty as the people who don't care about you. Like the assholes know how to play the game. They've been playing it for generations. The new people won't play the game, so they can't win. You got to be as dirty as they are, but with good intentions. It is possible to play the game wrong and still get the right outcome. You can do it. You got to be willing to get a little dirty.
I'm thinking about becoming a puppet regime and just finding someone who's willing to do it, and then me just like telling them what to do and just being behind and just being like, fucking do this, like do it. No one's gonna listen to me. I'm 5 foot nothing. Like they won't listen to me. They're gonna listen to you. You're like a big white guy who has you're attractive and you got the looks. You're like Ted Bundy, so people will get murdered by you. Just do what I fucking say, and we're gonna get the shit back on track. You're gonna use this cane. You're gonna beat somebody up at your the next debate. You're gonna beat them up.
So
beat them up when they say something stupid.
So basically, you want to be Nancy Reagan.
Maybe.
I don't know. You strike me as more of a Jackie Kennedy.
I don't know. I'm getting really mad and I'm like really wanting to I want to read like John Locke and I want to read all those things because I'm getting pissed. Like I'm just mad. And it's like I quoted Dr. Seuss to my coworkers today. I said, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, it's not going to be get better. It's not. And I was like, we need to stop being complacent. And all of them were like, it's just how it is. I'm like, that's the problem. I'm like, that's just how it is. I'm going to die in 30 years anyway. There's not going to be a fucking country in 30 years. Anyway, this sounds like it's a Joe Rogan podcast. Like, I'm sorry. I'm getting so mad.
I'm going to mail you a bunch of Public Enemy records. That ought to help. Fight the power.
I'm gonna read everything. I'm gonna read the Marx, Karl Marx, like his shit. I'm gonna read the Communist Manifesto. I'm gonna read every side of the spectrum. I'm gonna become like a political genius, and I'm gonna get assassinated. I'm gonna die in 5 years, Connor. Watch. I'm gonna commit suicide with a bullet in the back of my head. After I'm on suicide watch, it's gonna happen. Mark Moore, y'all can save this on the internet, and then when it happens, Reddit is gonna do all little poggers faces, and they're gonna be like, she said this on this like really niche podcast that blew up. Oh my god, like she knew it. I'll be a martyr.
Holy shit. Well, Tombstone's a fun movie. And I'm sorry we're doing it in the midst of a serious like existential crisis for you.
This is why it's been so long. People listening, we were supposed to do this a while ago, and so much crap is just coming to my plate, and then this, and I'm like, I can't do it. Like, it's too much. It's too much pressure. It's freaking tweak, bro. Like,
oh boy. Okay. Well, shit. I also don't agree with the Wyatt Earp quote. Well, let's talk a bit about the production of this thing, how Tombstone came about. It almost didn't. This had some serious production problems. It nearly torpedoed the movie several times.
nice.
Tombstone was shot on location in Arizona. Surprisingly, not really that much in Tombstone. Largely in Tucson. I mean, they did film some in Tombstone. Screenwriter Kevin Jarre was supposed to direct. It was going to be his first directing gig, but he quickly got overwhelmed by the job, fell behind schedule. He's dealing with a lot of moving parts. It's not a good debut for somebody. There's a lot to do here. So he got fired a month into shooting, was replaced by George P. Cosmatos, who had previously directed two big Sylvester Stallone movies, Rambo: First Blood Part 2 and Cobra. So that was his resume. Other than that, really not much else. And then, yeah, it's weird. It's like Rambo 2, Cobra, fucking Tombstone, one movie after Tombstone, and then he was dead.
So. He also wanted to incite a revolution.
Oh, he's a daisy if you do. Michael Biehn, who played Johnny Ringo, nearly quit after the director change. He and Jarre were good friends. But Cosmatos brought a strict schedule to set, told everyone, we're going to get this shit together. We're going to get everything worked out. Everything's going to be fine. Michael Biehn stayed behind because he really needed the money. I think this was during his... Michael Biehn went through a phase of serious alcoholism where he wasn't getting a lot of work. And then actually shortly after Tombstone, we didn't really see him again for a while outside of like bit parts and TV work. But he was, Corporal Hicks in Aliens. He was Kyle Reese in The Terminator. Like he was a big 80s actor, but he had real struggles with booze. He recently got clean to star in an Alien movie that didn't happen, and then I think he fell off the wagon again.
No, that's sad.
Yeah, pretty sad. Jarre's sprawling script was carved down largely by Kurt Russell, who played Wyatt Earp. He deleted unnecessary subplots, added more to the relationship between Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday. And I found this kind of cool. Kurt Russell has gone on record saying that Cosmatos was more of a ghost director. He was just there to be the name on the movie. In truth, Kurt Russell himself directed Tombstone.
Oh.
Or at least that's what he claims. And then Val Kilmer backed up the claims. Michael Biehn said that's bullshit. So it's kind of contentious over who actually directed this movie. I agree with... I think Kurt Russell probably did take charge of this thing and made it himself. That seems like something he would do. Cosmatos focused heavily on historical accuracy for the costumes, sets, and makeup. Every mustache in this film is a real homegrown mustache. There's no fake facial hair in this movie.
I love it.
Yeah. I love
I
that
ranked the
everybody.
mustaches, by the way. I have rankings.
That's awesome. I can't wait to hear the rankings. But I love that he was like, everybody go home, take a few weeks, and give me a good stash. Everybody, including you, extra number 5. Everybody.
I don't like the guy in the Cowboys that has like the little like just the 2 little bits on the side like catfish whiskers, but they're like trimmed. I don't like it. That was I don't know what his I don't think they ever gave his name, so I didn't rank it, but that's 0. That's like the worst.
There was a you ever see X-Men Days of Future Past?
No.
There's a character in the movie, Bolivar Trask, played by Peter Dinklage, and he has the fakest looking mustache in that movie. He did an interview with him and Hugh Jackman talking about the movie, and Dinklage revealed that no, that is a real mustache. And Hugh Jackman just commented like, growing a mustache that looks fake is quite a skill. And they all shared a laugh. I don't know what the point of that was, but mustaches.
Yeah. Mustache. A mustache. A mustache.
Oh, I love that movie. Everyone I know hates that movie. I think that movie's hysterical.
I only saw it when it came out. I have not seen it since, but I remember the mustache, a mustache. Anytime I hear mustache, I think of that song by Neil Patrick Harris.
I remember I went through a phase with a buddy of mine where we would randomly just say people die at the fair at each other.
I like it.
A Million Ways to Die in the West, by the way, is the movie we're talking about here. I think it's funny. It did not do well. Despite early production problems, Tombstone was a decent hit, grossing $73 million on a budget of $25 million. So not huge, but enough to be like, it worked out. It's since become a cult classic thanks to its memorable characters and adventurous tone. Tombstone has an IMDb score of 7.8, Rotten Tomatoes score of 72%, audience score of 94%. Oh yeah. Critics' consensus reads, if you're seeking a stylish modern Western with a solid story and a well-chosen ensemble cast, Tombstone is your Huckleberry. Nobody really knows what that means. Everyone thinks it's like a term of endearment. It's not. It's a very veiled threat.
I'll carry your casket, baby. Like
exactly. I'm gonna be a pallbearer at your funeral. Like, shit. That's some cold shit to say to somebody before you blow their brains out.
Yeah. There's a beautiful song by Toby Keith called Huckleberry, and it's like it's all like like it's him like in going through a relationship with a girl, and they meet each other in like middle school, and they're like waiting for the bus. She's like, have you ever kissed a girl? And he's like, I'll be your Huckleberry, and they like kiss, and then they go to a fair, and she's all like, oh, like, you gonna ride this ride with me? And he's like, I'll be your Huckleberry, and then like they get married, and it's like, oh, that's so sweet. I'm like, but like he's gonna kill her.
Yeah, do your research before you write an entire song about a quote that you didn't come up with. Weird.
Yeah, it's good times. I mean, other fun things. I went to I go to karaoke every Monday with my friends out here now. Like that's something we started to do. And both this time, or no, I guess maybe not this time, but one time I sang Love and Touch and Squeezin' at a karaoke event. And like, it's like it's that Journey song about like someone being unfaithful and all that. And there's like couples dancing to it. I'm like, this is a song about someone being unfaithful. Like, why are y'all? I understand the 3 words, love and touch and squeeze, and is like, ooh, sexy. Did you not hear how we got to that point? Like, were you not listening? You only hear those 3 words. Oh, sexy song. Like, but no, you make me weep. Like, I'm sad because you're love and touch and squeezing another. Like, I don't know.
My favorite version of that is the song "Every Breath You Take" by the Police. That's so many people's wedding song. Like, every breath you take, every move you make, every step you take, I'll be watching you. That's a song about a stalker. That's not a love song.
I'm watching you, baby.
Yeah.
Like.
Since you've gone, I've been lost without a trace. I dream at night. I can only see your face. That's some creepy shit. Like, it's a guy who's so obsessed with this woman, all he does is watch her. That's not love. That's not love. Stop dancing to that at your weddings.
Yeah, bro. Another fun thing, you would think this is funny, and I suppose people listening might also think this is funny. Last week when we went, one of my friends sang Weird Al Yankovic's Amish Paradise. And fantastic song, right? We love it.
Yeah.
There was some drunk, like 60-year-old people grinding on each other to that song. Like literally like grabbing ass and like penis and like all this gross, inappropriate things. And we're like, so this, like, we were sitting there just like laughing, and our friend who was singing it was just like, what is happening? And we're like, you churned butter and F430 milking cows.
Oh my God.
Jebediah feeds the chickens and Jacob plows full, and they're still touching each other. And even we think that our minds are going crazy because why are they doing this?
I hope one day I give that little of a fuck about everything where I can just grind to fucking Weird Al. Those are the happiest people on earth.
It was insane. I love this karaoke bar. I love it. Like it's just like 60-year-old people because we go on Monday. So there's, it's mainly just like, I don't do anything anymore. Or like, I don't work a crazy job. Like, I'll do whatever. Like it's great.
Follow-up question. If you were in a situation, let's say you were incredibly drunk and a Weird Al song came on and you were like, I gotta grind. What Weird Al song is it?
I gotta grind and it's a Weird Al song. To me, it's always the like, I don't know, it's not the lyrics, it's the beat. So I get why it would be Gangster's Paradise, because that's just kind of, but no, I have to think about that one. That might be like later in the episode that I'll answer it. I'll have to, that's hard. Right now, I'm still gonna go with that one just because like that one sounds just because the boom, 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 but like I couldn't see it like to like white and nerdy, like no, fat, no, and like virus alert, no, the saga begins, no. I would go ham at trapped in the drive through on karaoke. Would I grind to it? No, but I could do that entire song. Yeah.
Another one rides the bus. Easy.
Another one rides the bus.
Accordion version. Thank you very much. I saw Weird Al live a while back. That was a fun show.
That's fantastic.
He had character. He came out in the fat suit for Fat. Like he did character. He did suit costume changes more than Cher. It was awesome. The entire encore was The Saga Begins. That was fun. I was a chaperone for my younger cousin. It was his birthday present, and I had to take him. I had more fun than he did.
I love it. I love it.
Well, before we discuss the film itself, let's take a look at the true story behind the gunfight at the OK Corral and the Western heroes Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday. What do you got for us? How accurate was this movie?
Yes. I don't think it was like far from the fictionalized truth, but this story was so complicated because, I mean, like we talked about before this, it's such a fictionalized story. It's become so, fictionalized and just, mytholicized. And if that's how you say that, if that's the right phrase, but like, it's just such a like folk tale now. It doesn't seem real, but it is. But so like, I didn't think I would have such a difficult time actually focusing on this research for a gunfight that lasted 30 seconds. But there's so much hearsay, like, oh, well, we said that they did this and we said that they did that. It's just, it's difficult. I don't think it was like grossly inaccurate from what I like found, especially compared to like 300 or Pocahontas or even like Death of Stalin. But it also isn't like, oh, like Apollo 16 or 16, Apollo 13, right? 13.
13.
Which one did we watch? Yeah, 13. I don't know why I said 16. Apollo 13 is like by far the best thing that we've watched in terms of accuracy. Like that was just great. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot to this story. I don't know how much of this were you familiar with before you watched it?
Well, I first saw Tombstone like 3-4 years ago, and at the time I just thought, oh, this is neat. I didn't realize it was a true story. I thought that it was one of those movies where like it takes, you know, Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, two people I knew were real, and put them in like a fictional movie, kind of like, Jesse James or Billy the Kid or something like that.
Yeah.
Then I found out about the true story and I thought, that's nuts. And then I remember reading somewhere that this was considered one of the most accurate biopics ever made. That like they took very careful care to be true to the story. And then the more I looked into it, the more I'm like, I don't know if that's true. That doesn't seem, I don't think that's true. For example, Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp are treated as pretty heroic characters in this movie, and they were not. They were not. No. But that's just one thing. But yeah, I think that a lot of people, especially with westerns, they almost don't seem like they could happen. They're so outrageous and outlandish and ridiculous that there's no way any of it could be true. But yeah, America was like that for a while. That whole half of the country was untamed, wild country where people could pretty much do whatever they wanted. And we get some good goddamn movies out of it. I like westerns.
I think that was one of the things the last time we had done an episode. I think we had said we're going to do Tombstone. And then I think you had mentioned that people say this is one of the more accurate movies. And that had stuck in the back of my mind, but I couldn't remember if you had said that or not. And as I was researching it, that's, I think, what was also throwing me off is I'm like, am I wrong? Like,
no, I think I was wrong.
I'm finding you wrong.
I think somebody
not like you're
me.
wrong. But like, yeah, like some of the critiques on it, I think it could be people reading the pro Earp narratives, because that actually is a big thing that I kept finding is there's like pro Earp narratives and there's pro cowboy narratives. There's not like, there is a lot that's in between, but a lot of like the early stuff written on it was either you're like the Earps are fantastic or the cowboys did not do anything wrong, and there's like nothing in between. You either like the Earps or you like the cowboys, and you're not like, oh well, I understand. But it seems like they were both just like two very power hungry groups. One of them happened to be considered an outlaw gang and the other ones wore badges. So it's like, how do you feel about, like kind of a thing. But like the Earps did not, I mean, they were pimps. They freaking came to Tombstone and were like pimping out people, pimping out women. Like it's not that great, but
yeah.
I don't know. And like they were going in to make money. It's like they were going in to take advantage of the situation. That's why they went to Tombstone. It wasn't like, we're going to go and fix the town. They went because they're like, there's money in the town. There's a gold, or there's a silver rush going on right now. We're going to start a stagecoach business. Not going to work out. That's okay. We're going to help out with gambling, and we're going to pimp out women. Like
they remind me of the character of the Peacemaker from the Suicide Squad and the Peacemaker series. His whole mantra is, I cherish peace with all my heart. I don't care how many men, women, and children I have to kill to get it. That's kind of what they were all about. Like, we're going to make sure everything runs smoothly here, no matter who we have to kill to make sure it runs smoothly here. Which is not a heroic approach to anything. I mean, this is really essentially two crime families at odds with each other, and one of them wins.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little insane. I found not like a crazy amount, because I tried my best to get a lot of this research done, but as I mentioned, I've had a lot going on. So this is kind of more of a crossover fake true stories, and not because I was not able to get as detailed with this, which might be good because I like to go on rants about things that I learned because I'm an interpreter. So we're going to practice talking more to my co-host because I also listened to that episode. I was like, damn, I talk a lot. Like, I love wrestling and I love Nacho Libre. Anyway, I did get some information about the town. Like, I got kind of historic with the town's founding because I didn't even know what was up with Tombstone beforehand. The founding of it was kind of cool. Like, it blew up really quickly, considering like it was like nothing, and then within I think like 3 years it jumped to, I want to say 10,000. I could be wrong. I don't think it's actually 10,000. No, it was up to 10,000 people within like 3 years, just bah, because a guy found silver there in 1877, and he was like, oh man, like, that's crazy. And they were like, if you go look for silver in those mountains, you'll find nothing but your tombstone. And he was like, That's what I'm gonna name my silver claim. And then people were like, oh shoot, there's silver here. And then 100 people went and got their claims, and then they built some stuff around it. And then by 1879, it was a real town. And then the Earps arrive and like, bah, like it's huge.
I love how ridiculously folksy the like town names of the old west were, where it's just like some dude finds silver and it's like, hey, somebody tells him some anecdote and he's like, that's a perfect name for my town. And then
Bootlicker Mountain.
all it takes is one person finding a nugget and everyone's like, fortune, and then it turns into Tombstone. That happens so many times. It's hilarious to me. Just when you think of a town founding, you think of like there's a charter, there's like a bunch of people talking about it in like a town hall. Like, what are we going to call our town? St. Louis, sold. But most of the time, it's just one dude who's like, this is Gold Lick now. And everyone's like, all right.
I bet. So, have you ever wondered, small tangent, we've gone on a lot of tangents in these episodes.
Yeah, this episode's barely about Tombstone. I've accepted
yeah, it's
that.
not.
What do you got?
My bad. Why do we call St. Louis when it should be pronounced St. Louis? Because like Louisville, we don't say Louisville. It's Louisville. And it's spelled Louis, like Louisville. We don't say, why don't we say St. Louis?
I've heard some people
Louisiana, not Louisiana. Louisiana, it's Louisiana. Louis. It's French.
I hear you saying the same thing. I can't hear the difference between those two words.
Louisiana and Louisiana.
That sounds, yeah, I don't know. It's not registering in my head.
Louisiana and Louisiana.
You're just saying Louisiana twice. I can't.
I swear I'm saying something different. I'll probably hear this episode like when it releases in a week or whatever and be like, yeah, I did sound the same thing. Whatever. Think about how to pronounce the state Louisiana, but say Louis instead of Louis.
Louisiana. It's Louis. It sound, yeah, I don't hear a difference.
It's weird. I don't know. Anyway, Louis. It should be pronounced Louis. Anytime I hear St. Louis, I'm like, it's Louis.
I've heard some people say St. Louis as like kind of a slang thing, meet me in St. Louis, that movie from the 40s? Clang, clang, clang goes the trolley and all that.
Oh, yeah.
The movie's supposed to be Meet Me in St. Louis, but everybody in the movie, the song in the movie is called Meet Me in St. Louis. Like it rhymes as that. So it is people say St. Louis. I think most people say St. Louis because this is America and we don't know how to say things properly. We've done that quite a lot.
It's Behar, not Bear County. Also, Song I'd Grind To by Weird Al Yankovic, Like a Surgeon.
Good choice.
Anyway.
Did you watch the Weird, the Al Yankovic story movie?
I need to.
It is so...
I'd be down to do that as a fake true story.
That well, the movie parodies the music biopic, so like the most outlandish shit happens in the movie that none of it's true. Like he's like Michael Jackson comes out with Beat It as like a ripoff of Weird Al's Eat It. So like shit like that happens in the movie. He's hooking up with Madonna and like the craziest shit. It's hilarious, but complete fabrication, and I love that he did that.
I love that.
He plays himself as the music executive who tells Weird Al he's not that good.
Good. I love Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, me too. It's a hilarious movie, hilarious guy. Yeah. Continue.
Yeah. So anyway, town founded. One of the things I did find, another big misconception about Tombstone, was how many women were there. There weren't as many women, like not necessarily because I said they were pimping out people. There were women doing those jobs, but it wasn't like, oh, like here's families and it's a nice little like suburban area and we can like have school. It was mainly like dudes. It's like a bunch of, which is why there was so much gambling and prostitution and stuff, because that's who's going out to seek their fortune. It's not like, come on, we're gonna pack up our stuff and go try. No, it's like dudes with nothing else to lose. That's how this guy got there and found the gold or the silver. was he's pretty much he was by himself. He wasn't married, didn't have kids. He kept trying to prospect. He kept failing. He got some jobs he didn't like, and he was like, I just really want to be a prospector. That's not really a job you can do if you have a family, you know? Like you
Yeah.
can't really do that. So a lot of the people that were out here were like young guys, and that's like another thing. Like if you're going out there to start these like houses of prostitution, or if you're going out to start gambling business, like you're going to be taking advantage of these young guys. Like there's no one like the Earps aren't going out there to be like, we're gonna give them a good deal on this like really pretty lady, or we're gonna make sure that the house does not cheat, and they're gonna get their money, and we're gonna make it. No, it's all about making money. Like that's the whole thing. So I don't know. There's that.
Well, also, imagine you're a mother in 1879 with like I don't know 9 kids, because that's what you had back then,
Yeah.
and a husband you see maybe once a week when he's not gambling or looking for gold. You're not going to want to raise your kids in an environment of debauchery, death, and anything goes. I mean, that's just, you don't want to risk like 3 of your kids getting shot a week. So I imagine there's not a lot of clamoring to, build a nice shack for the homestead right outside of Tombstone.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Like I'm fine. I'm straight.
Yeah. I watched a documentary on Val Kilmer that Val Kilmer made about Val Kilmer called
Oh.
Val, where he basically spent 2 hours being like, I'm not a dick, I'm just creative. And it was very much like nobody understood me as an actor, and that's why I came across as difficult. It was the most pretentious bullshit I've ever seen. But he used to participate in a yearly celebration of this movie in Tombstone, Arizona, where they do like a festival and show the movie, and they try to get cast members to participate and do Q&A and stuff. And Val Kilmer's done it a couple times before the throat cancer killed his voice. But neat that they have that. I'd love to. That's the only reason I would ever want to go to Arizona is to go to the Tombstone Festival. I think that would be really fun.
Tombstone is an awful town.
It's not still It's not still lawless and run by gangsters. It's just a shitty desert town now.
No, it's a tourist trap. It is the worst thing. It is like the public history nightmare. I talked so much smack about it in my thesis. I mentioned that town so many times in my thesis. I said, unlike some places, cough, cough, Tombstone, who don't do public history well, cough, cough, Tombstone, like Tombstone, because I went in 2013. I went in 2013 to Tombstone, and maybe no, it wasn't 2013 because I had a national park centennial 2016 thing. I guess it was 2016 that I went then. Anyway, I went and I was very disappointed. I was like a 17-year-old. I was like, what the actual heck is this? Because you go and it's like, oh, like here's like a fake mustache shop, and here's a candy store, and here's a like wear another mustache and a historical portrait, and like everything you'd find at like a Six Flags over Texas, or what you'd find at like a Ripley's Believe It or Not kind of thing, just in this historic town. And then they redid the cemetery, and they have like stupid looking gravestones to make it look wacky and comical, like you'd find in a party store, or again, like you're at like a Disneyland ride or something, and they're like, oh, like Curly Bill Joe Zaner, he got killed by an engine, and like just stuff like that. And you're like, what the actual heck is this? Like this is a slap in the face to the people that actually lived here. And then if you want to see the reenactment of like the gunfight, that's behind literally a paywall. There's a wall, and you have to pay like $20. It probably wasn't that much, but I remember it being expensive enough that my parents were like, no, per person to see it. It's a big tourist trap, and it's so I do not like when historic towns fall that. I'm going to England in March, and I have come to that realization that it's very possible I'm going to go to some of these places I've always wanted to see and run into that same thing, and I'm going to be depressed. Like I'm going to go to Canterbury or something and see like come see the medieval torture museum, or come see some like they're probably gonna have some stupid Wild West shit there, and I'm like, what is this doing here? Like what's why is this here? And I'm just going to be so sad. I hate when historic places fall to choosy tourism. At the Alamo Plaza before this year, when it was just Ripley's Believe It or Not stuff surrounding the Alamo. I'm so glad that's gone now.
Two things. One, the gunfight reenactment costs $10 according to the website. It's $6
Okay. Cool.
admission to the town if you don't want to see that. And two, I've been to Canterbury, and it is quite tasteful.
I hope so. I
At
hope
least
so.
the
I
parts
would
I
be
went
so
to.
sad.
The castle was gorgeous. There were fish and chips shops and little places. It's very, it's nice and quaint and sweet. At least it was when I went there, which was about almost 10 years ago. Damn. Yeah.
That'd be like I want to go to Lindisfarne, and I would be very sad if I went to Lindisfarne. It was like, see the reenactment of the Vikings going and killing the monasteries. You have to pay money to see it, and it's not going to be a good reenactment. They're going to be in like fake plastic hats that they bought from the party store, and then you can go and like take a picture with a Viking, and it'll be like, yarg, dude, and you're just like, this is so tasteless. Like that's
No,
what I just realized that that's a possibility for somewhere I go in the UK, and I'm going to be really depressed because I wanted to go to this area for so long.
all right. I can give you some guidance here. The Tower of London, for instance, does not have like a daily butchering of Anne Boleyn show.
Thank God. That would be really tasteless. I would hope she would haunt them. Like
She does haunt it, apparently. Like her ghost, a headless ghost has been seen on the property.
that's why Isabel wants to go in March when there's like not as many people there because I'm really into that history. I hope one of the ghosts is like, hey, and they just like, hey, and I'm like, oh, like that.
It's I got to see like various royals' crown jewels, which was really neat, and armor and whatnot. So the
yeah,
Tower
Henry
of
the
London,
Eighth.
Henry VIII is that was there. I don't think he would fit into that armor, but it was probably ceremonial. I don't think he actually wore that shit. Makes me think of Game of Thrones. Get the breastplate stretcher, but that doesn't exist. Where else did I go? That was nice. The British Museum. Do not go to the British Museum. It's basically being jam-packed into a building full of tourists. You can't see anything but other tourists.
Sorry, I'm gonna go. If I'm there, I'm gonna see the stuff before they give it back. If they give it back.
I wanted to see one thing: the Viking ship they found at Sutton Hoo. I wanted to see that, and it was not there anymore. They had an outline of it on the wall, but the actual ship was no longer in the museum.
Big sad.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
I only flew 2,000 miles for it.
Oh, so bad. There's so many things, Connor. We can talk about it later. Tombstone. I'm trying to keep this. I'm not good at this. I get excited. I think about things. I go, oh, here's this other thing to talk about. And that's how the episodes get to like an hour and 40 minutes. It's not really content. It's just like, oh, Isabel had a weird thought. Let's talk about it. Like
anything we say in front of the microphone is content. That's the way I see it.
Welcome, guys. Yeah. So anyway, Tombstone, Silvertown, Earps showed up. They're like, hey guys, we're here. It's because Virgil, I think, was made a marshal of the Arizona Territory, Cochise County.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's why he's there, which is bananas. And I got a good amount of information on Virgil and Wyatt. Poor Morgan. There's not that much on Morgan except for he was their brother. He did this.
He's
like,
I'm sure that like in the movie, in real life, he was shot in the back and to prove the situation was serious.
Yeah, like that's a big thing. They were like, yeah, so he was killed. But before that, he did a lot of stuff with Wyatt, apparently. Wyatt and him were like bananas growing up. Those dudes went and like stole horses. They got in trouble with prostitution a lot, constantly getting in with prostitutes, went to jail several times. Then they also like just started working for like different like sheriff offices and were deputized and different things because they were like, oh, I've been to jail. Let's do the other side now and like go put other people in jail. Might as well. They both a lot of these dudes were actually in Texas at some point. Morgan and Wyatt hunted bison in Texas, which is kind of cool. And then Doc practiced dentistry in Dallas for a little bit.
That's why he was an outlaw. He was practicing without a license. That's where the Doc from Doc Holliday came from.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why he was an outlaw. He also was a vicious gunfighter and a card shark, but the crime they were after him for was practicing dentistry without a license.
I thought I guess I didn't realize he didn't get it. I know he went to college and graduated, but I didn't realize he didn't get his license.
I'm pretty sure. Let me just make sure I'm not talking out of my ass on that.
I just saw he graduated from the Pennsylvania College of Dental Surgery in 1872.
Oh, my mistake. He did get his degree in dentistry. Oh, I must be thinking about somebody else. I don't know. Well,
Still,
he also had TB and just pretty much thought like, I don't know when I'm going to die, so I'm going to make the most of it.
he said, I've been poisoned by my constituents. His mom also died of tuberculosis, so that's pretty sad. He also apparently was born with a cleft palate.
He was only 36 when he died. Like the amount of life this guy packed into those 36 years is pretty, I won't say admirable, but interesting. Like he's not a role model.
No. Insert Wyatt Earp quote. Something about doing something consequences. That was Doc Holliday. That was him. Yeah, a lot of their stories are just very much like born, moved around a lot with the family, moved around a lot more with the family, did some illegal stuff. Eventually was like, like we're gonna go to Arizona, which I think the movie has them all arriving at the same time. I didn't find anything that they arrived at the same time. From what I saw, Virgil was there and was all like, hey, yo, come meet us here, Wyatt. There's potential for him. So Wyatt met them there. That's what I understood. It wasn't like look, we're all here on the same day, like ta-da, like
yeah. And Doc just happened to be there playing cards.
He said, like, oh, hey, it's me. And he does the little like good evening, and he just like walks away.
He does this weird little like thing with his mouth. It's like I don't know, lip smacking thing that I just.
It's the cleft palate that he healed from.
Charming. It's very charming. he was just I do love, especially this depiction of Doc Holliday, that he is very much just like, I don't care about money. I don't care about murder. I am just like looking for whatever's gonna take my mind off this TB next. And that's kind of cool. I like that. He was really just like looking for the next thrill, but he also had a lot of loyalty to Wyatt, and clearly a history with Johnny Ringo.
Yeah. It's interesting. Wyatt, he has the most stuff about him that I could find because he's like that legendary. He's the guy.
I don't think we'll ever truly know who he was as a person. So much of who he is legend at this point.
Well, I saw a couple things about like his marriage life. He married an individual named Urilla Sutherland, who died within a year because of either childbirth complications or typhus. And then he chilled, and then he got married, not married, but then he got with somebody else again, which I think was it Maddie? Was that who it was? Yeah, Maddie. He found Maddie, and then they got together, and then he ended up being like, bye, Maddie. Like he just left her after Tombstone, and he was apparently she thought he was gonna meet her. Like that, like whole thing in the movie. That's pretty fictionalized. We don't know. As far as I know, we don't know if they had like the marital, like you're using opium, babe, like blah 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 kind of a thing, and it just like they fell apart. But like apparently, after all the stuff went down, Morgan was killed. They flee. I think to California is where they went, and she thought he was going to meet her there, and he was like, nope. And he he just never went. He's like, I'm good. I'm with this other chick now.
The hero of the Old West right there.
Yeah. It's it's interesting. I was like, oh, okay. Cool.
You ever watch the AMC Western series Hell on Wheels?
Mm-mm.
I think you dig it. It's about this shortly after the end of the Civil War, like when they're building the railroads. And this guy named Cullen Bohannon, which is such a cool fucking name. He's a Confederate soldier who's hunting down the Union troops that murdered his family during the war. And he tracks down like 4 of them. And then on the 5th one, he finds the guy's commanding officer at the Union Pacific Railroad. And this is all in the pilot, and like kills him to get the information. And then he eventually gets more concerned with helping to build the railroad, befriends this freed slave with a chip on his shoulder. It's a 5-season show. It's so good, so cool. Very it has a lot Thomas Durant of the railroad, he like historical figure. He's a major character in the show. They run into Brigham Young at one point. There's a whole Mormon subplot in one of the seasons. Like it's a neat show for history buffs for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
That was fun. That was a fun show.
Interesting. Yeah. This history is just so interesting to me. I like it because it's like you can get like the quote the tea, the drama about people that don't exist anymore. Like again, more marriage stuff. I just remembered Virgil, same thing. Homie, I think was married 2 or 3 times. He got married with a young when he was 17, he got married, or not 17, he met a girl named Ellen when he was 17. And then they wanted to get married, but the parents were like, no. So then they eloped. And then he joined the Union Army, fought in the Civil War. Apparently she was told he died, so she went and married somebody else. I don't know how quickly that happened, but she was like, anyway, I'm gonna go like get married to somebody else. But when he comes back, he doesn't even like figure out what happened. He learns she got married to somebody else, and he's like, anyway, and he just like keeps going with his life. And he had a daughter also, so like she took the kid and left, and he was just like, meh, like didn't seem interested in figuring out what happened. And then he met another woman named Rosilla, who was 10 years younger than him, and then she disappeared. We don't know what happened. She just poof gone from history, and then he marries another lady who was in the movie, as far as I know. Met a waitress named Ali Sullivan, Alvira Sullivan, yeah, and then they got married. So he had 3.
Why were the Earp brothers constantly hooking up with chicks from Transylvania? Apparently, like what is the names here?
It's just how it is. Let's see, Morgan. How many times did he get married that I found? I think just once.
Also, isn't it crazy?
Louisa Houston.
Isn't it nuts that like somebody can literally just disappear from history?
Right.
Like, no more record of them past that point. That's crazy to me, especially in this age where everything is documented. Like you can't disappear anymore. That's to get off the grid takes some fucking work. Back then it was just you just wandered into the wrong gully and you were never seen again. That's crazy.
At the Lost Colony, 117 men, women, and children who disappear, and I talk about every single day at work. What do you think happened to them, Ranger Isabel? Well, here's my spiel about what I think happened.
They met up with the Croatoan people, bred, and now a lot of them have blue eyes. Easy answer.
But did they?
Yeah.
That's the mystery.
Not really.
There's no written record that they did. Also, there's a lot that goes into it because they all couldn't have done that because each of these colonies or each of these Native American tribes out here couldn't support more than about 200 people living in a community at once. All 117 could not have integrated. Some of them absolutely did, but not all of them. Also, we've never found physical remains, which is how it's not a proven thing, because you can't say someone today who has English and Native American DNA from this area got that English and Native American DNA mixed in 1590.
I can. I do it all the time.
I'm
saying it right now.
Connor is our expert. Connor, you need to come to our site and just tell everybody. Go home.
I got it. Like you, I have a master's in history. So
is that all it takes?
Apparently, that's what I've heard.
It's good times. I love it. But yeah, I can't imagine nowadays, like you said, somebody just disappearing. Yeah. Like even like with his second wife, like just poof gone. Like, okay, like
he could go out back, shoot her in the head, bury her not even 6 feet deep, and that's the end of her story. Like no one will ever look into that ever.
Tell him it was Crazy Joe and the Seconds gang. Let's let John Mulaney in this one.
There's the victim's blood or the killer's blood is all over the floor. Gross. Mop it up.
And now back to my hunch.
Funny stuff. He's doing another tour. I saw he had dates. He didn't have anything in Texas, but he might have something in North Carolina.
I hope he's doing good.
He seems. I mean, after Baby J, I think he's in a good place. At least he's not, using. Hopefully. Well, we'll find out, I guess, if, he either releases a new special where he gets even more personal or he shows up dead in a ditch somewhere in New York City.
Like, oh, dang, he died.
Yeah. Oh, the old Chris Farley treatment. But that's not going to happen. We believe in you, John. We believe in you.
You got this. We love you.
No.
Keep making us laugh.
Yeah. All right. So the Earps were hooking up with Transylvanian ladies like Urilla, Drusilla, and Mantequilla or whatever. I don't know. And and you could easily disappear as long as one person didn't like you and wanted to do something about it.
Yeah, pretty much. As for Doc Holliday, he's actually the one I looked at the least. I don't know why. I just like definitely I just looked at my notes and I was like, huh, I have like 5 sentences on the man. Like, why did I not look at more? So cleft palate. Um, graduated from Pencil College of dental surgery. He was a dentist. And at this point, we were already in modern dentistry, so this wasn't like it's not like it's considered modern dentistry. So it's not like the like antiquity dentistry where they're like, oh, there's like a humor in your tooth. Let's just like let's get that ghost out of there. Like we have a little bit better of an idea. Like today, some visitor came in and was just like, it's so interesting. She said something about the English that was spoken in the 16th century is modern English. And my brain was like, no, it's not. And I was like, it's not Old English because Old English you wouldn't be able to understand at all. And then she's like, is it old, middle, or modern? And I was like, it's not modern. I was like, but I wouldn't think it's middle either. Is it like new modern? And she's like, it's considered modern because you don't need a translation to read it. You can read it. It's a little difficult because things are spelt weird, but you can read it. So this dentistry is a little weird. Things are spelt, but you know what they're doing. You're like, modern.
It's a rusty
Yeah.
hand drill instead of a donkey's foot to the face. Okay, that's better, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I read something cool about the 2007 movie Beowulf, which is an okay movie, kind of ridiculous, but all the characters speak in English because it's an American production. But Grendel, the monster, is seemingly speaking, unintelligible grunts and groans the whole time. But if you pay attention, yep, exactly. He's speaking Old English.
Old English is so weird. People think it's like ye old, but nope, that is not Old English. That's technically modern English. Shakespeare is modern English. We always, and I just figured that out today. This is a new revolution that I'm passing on to people, a revelation in my brain, because you're always thinking it's like Middle English. It's so, they spelt things and say thou. If you could read it without a translation and you know what they're saying, modern. Even if it's weird, modern. The freaking Beowulf, look at it in the original text. Tell me what it says. Like, I think that says dog.
Old English spoken aloud sounds like the last few minutes of every Rocky movie after Rocky has had the shit beat out of him by huge fucking guys, and he's just like, that's Old English. A lot of Stallone in this episode.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. But dentistry, all right, here we go. Here's a good when it comes to the Old West, there's so many what if scenarios I love to play out.
Okay.
If you I don't know, tomorrow wandered into some cave that turned out to be some time hole and you walked out into 1879 Arizona and you had a toothache, what are you going to do about that? Are you going to go see a dentist, or are you going to just hope to God you can, like, I don't know, that it goes away?
I'd wait if I had my modern understanding of things.
Yeah, like you now, with all that you know, end up in 1879 Arizona tomorrow with a toothache.
First of all, I'd be very disappointed with myself because I brush my teeth twice a day and I floss a lot. So I'd be like, what the heck, man?
Those are the people who always get fucking tooth problems. It's always the people who are so careful about it.
I would wait a little bit, like 3 days, see what happens. If it still hurts really bad, if it's bad, you can die from infections and stuff. Obviously, if you get surgery or something, you can also die from an infection. However, I would want to try and do something about it. I don't know. I'd be like, hey, doc, what are you going to do? Like, what do you think it is, first of all, from your 1870s knowledge? Will this require whiskey? If so, can you just bonk me on the head and take it out? Like, can you like pistol whip me like you're going to do so many times in this movie to people? Like, just like, and I'm out and then just take it out. And then I'll just wake up and be like, ow, you prick. Like,
whiskey, a little bit of laudanum. You'll wake up 3 weeks later, not even aware that you had a toothache. You ever see the movie Castaway with Tom Hanks?
No, because it looks sad.
It is quite sad. So he's a FedEx driver or FedEx flyer. I don't know. He ends up trapped on a desert island with a bunch of FedEx packages, and he's alone. He has no way to contact the outside world, and he gets a toothache. And he has to figure out a way to remove the tooth with no tools and no like pretty much what he ends up doing is like using a couple of rocks and like smashing his head against a cave wall. But it's such a tense moment because you're like, is he gonna pull this off or is he gonna fuck up his jaw? What's gonna happen here? It's a good watch. Castaway. He's there for like 2 years. Crazy.
But he loses the volleyball.
Wilson.
It's sad. Shut up, Spalding. I always think of freaking Madagascar.
Oh, yeah. That's a good movie. I haven't seen that in a long time.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
I've never seen Madagascar, but I haven't seen Castaway in a long time.
You've never seen Madagascar?
I have not.
Connor, you're such a movie buff. How have you not seen like one of the more popular DreamWorks movies?
A lot of animated movies passed me by because I went through a bit of a phase when I was like, I don't want to watch that. That's a kid's movie. I grew out of it, thankfully.
Fantastic.
I know that now. But like, 14-year-old Connor was like, fuck that. I want, superheroes and I don't know, snakes and shit. I don't know. But now I'm like, give me everything because everything is valid and worth my time. It's called growth, character growth. If I was still the same person I was when I was 14, you would fucking hate me. And I'd probably hate you too.
It's great. I love that.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of character growth, Doc Holliday has to do that really quickly, like we said, because he died by the time he was 36. So he's diagnosed with tuberculosis after starting his own dentistry practice. That's why they think he might have moved out west. They also think it's possible he moved out west because he definitely shot at unarmed Black people who were swimming in a swimming hole that he really liked. And he was just like, get out of there. And some claims said that he killed 2 of them. Others said that he just was like angry and shot over their heads. We don't know. Either way, he moves out west. And that's whenever he starts to like go to Texas. And then he goes, I think, he starts in Georgia, he goes to Texas, to Dallas. He was there for a bit, and then he just like keeps on going because he's like, I'm gonna go be a gambler. Bah, bah, bah. Dentistry isn't as fun anymore. I'm just gonna like just gamble, which is wild.
I wonder if the dentistry didn't work out because more and more of his customers or patients found out that the guy breathing into their mouths had tuberculosis. I'd stop going to that dentist for sure.
He's like Typhoid Mary, wherever like people are just like, okay, every time somebody goes to get dentistry work from you, they come down with consumption. Maybe, just maybe.
Oh my God. That's hysterical. And also, if I'm Johnny Ringo and I get shot to death by a guy on his deathbed, I'm going to be pissed. You're basically getting killed by a dead guy.
So I am looking at an article right now about Holiday that I had linked to my thing. Holiday had not outrun his tuberculosis, his violent coughing fits disconcerted patients, and consequently business dwindled. So yes, even back then they said, ugh.
They ran his ass out of town for coughing into people's fucking mouths. That's amazing. I would love if, like, in the end, Doc Holliday was like shot to death by like a group of disgruntled patients. Like they tracked him down to Tombstone. It was like, you remember us, motherfucker, and just shot him to death in the square. That would have been poetic as hell.
Yes. They also think he might have caught it from his mom, but they think it's also likely that when he was practicing learning his dentistry skills, a patient gave it to him. So a patient he was working with went, and the poison of my constituents.
It's all the Old West medicine is just people making each other more and more sick. That's all it is. The doctor gives you, you go in for a hangnail, you walk out with gangrene. You go in for a toothache, you walk out with TB. Like, it's just not worth it. Just, get a pair of pliers and rip out the tooth. You'll probably hurt less in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's why he became a gambler, because people didn't like getting coughed on and didn't like any of the things. They're like,
now I'm picturing him like coughing on the chips and being like all in. Like he's a
Do you want them
fucking
now?
yeah, he's a freaking incubator, just killing thousands inadvertently with his coughs. They
I
say
wish I
Jesse
could just
James was the
stop.
most dangerous outlaw of the Old West. He's got nothing on Doc Holliday and his coughing fits.
He just
I imagine he like coughs on every bullet in his gun to make sure every single one is a fatal bullet, even if he gets him in like the leg.
he also meets the love is yeah, I like that. I just also read as you said that the love of his life was named Big Nose Kate.
Like to everybody or just to Doc? Did he
I
call?
don't know. Big
Did he
Nose
just
Kate
call
is
her
what her
that?
name was, though. Big Nose Kate. Miss Catherine Horony Cummings, popularly known as Big Nose Kate, was a Hungarian-born American outlaw gambler, prostitute, and longtime companion and common-law wife of Old West gambler and
Oh,
gunfighter Doc
that's
Holliday.
that's the Kate. Oh, okay. I don't. Did he call her Big Nose Kate in the movie? I don't remember that.
I feel like I would have noticed.
Yeah, probably.
I would have been like,
And
hey.
I mean, unless this photograph was retouched, it's not. Her nose isn't that big.
I want to know why she was called that.
I know. I was expecting like a schnoz that was covering at least 80% of the head.
Yeah, something. Not
If your nickname is Big Nose Kate, there's a reason. It's noticeable.
imagine that. They're just trying to find someone to make fun of me. So they're like, Big Nose, like it's like a Monty Python.
I I I don't like to hurt people's feelings, but I do like the idea of somebody just to help them remember people, just calling everybody by some very noticeable characteristic of theirs.
That's what Hispanics do. That's why gordo is such a favorite popular nickname. It's just fatty or fatso. And everybody does that. Whenever I was working in special education, one of my kids, he like weighed as much as me. He was a first grader, like huge kid. We took them outside to play one time, and the Hispanic class that was out there called him gordo. And I was like, no, like leave him alone. He didn't know, but it's just like
The teacher's just calling you fatty. That's
no, the
funny.
teacher wasn't. It was the kids.
Oh, that's not
Yeah,
as
the
funny.
kids were.
Kids are gonna do that. I want like an instructor to be like, "Hey, fatty, get back over here. Get back here.
I guarantee you is like
Roll your
grandma
way
or
back
someone
inside."
does, which is it's usually the grandmothers.
I don't think I've never. Somebody called me Four Eyes in like kindergarten, but I don't remember. I don't think I've ever had that kind of. Nah,
Did you pistol whip them?
I pushed him off the jungle gym, Mufasa style.
Long live the king.
He didn't get up.
Said, Dad, come back.
No, I was like, that hurt my feelings. I don't actually remember what happened. I just remember this kid, John, called me Four Eyes, and I was like, fuck you. That's what I thought. I didn't say that because it was kindergarten. Ah, okay. What happened to Big Nose Kate?
What happened to Big Nose Kate? That's a wonderful question. She ended up marrying somebody else afterwards that I saw.
Was it like Large Lip Larry?
Large Lip Larry.
Match made in heaven right there.
It's perfect. No, I think she marries George Cummings, who's a Irish blacksmith in Aspen, Colorado. I don't know how they meet, but yeah, after Holiday dies in '87, she's all like, "Bye," and she ran a bakery. Wow.
She was looking for a custom made iron nose like shield for her giant nose, and only this Cummings guy could make it for her, and that's how they met. That's my headcanon for Big Nose Kate.
I like it.
I wonder if Doc Holliday was like, I'd love to work on your teeth, madam, but I can't get past your gargantuan nose. Like,
And she's all like, wow, no one's ever spoken to me that significantly.
You're so rude, but so charming. I can't figure it out.
I love this.
Oh, funny. All right, got anything else?
Um, I know this is just it's been a big thing again, like the shootout. It's 30 seconds. 30 shots, passing a lot of stuff. They arrive. Uh, Holiday is there. They actually met Wyatt in Dodge City. That's how the two of them knew each other because Wyatt served as a lawman out in Dodge. They met up in Tombstone, and then there was like a vendetta, not a vendetta, but like stuff had been going on. Pretty much the Cowboys, from what I figured out, had been doing whatever they wanted in this town for a while. And the Earps showed up and they were like, we want to do what we want to do in this town. And the Cowboys were like, no. And they're like, well, guess what? We have the badges. Ha ha ha. Like, we're going to do what we want. The shootout actually starts because Wyatt, Virgil, Morgan, and Doc, hold on. No, that's not how it starts. Let me get back. Let me go back. They had met like a couple of the Cowboys, I think in a gambling. They were like gambling or something like that.
I wonder if it's like the movie where like one of the Cowboys had set up shop in the saloon and was like, the guy was like, I can't get him to leave. And Wyatt's just like, hey, you asshole, you're in my seat.
Yeah, probably not. That's a cool scene, though.
I read that in this movie, all of Billy Bob Thornton's dialogue was ad-libbed. He was just told, be a bully, and he came up with everything on his own.
So I didn't look at the cast at the end, but I heard his voice. I was like, that sounds like Davy Crockett.
The second I heard him say, like, asshole, like that's a Billy Bob right there. I'm like, that's Bad Santa.
Yeah. I love it. Anyway, yeah. So here's the story. Here's how it goes. Sorry, I found my notes. I'm going all over the place. So October 26th, Earp Brothers and Doc Holliday participate in the gunfight. That's when that happens. Leading up to that, the day before, on October 25th, 1881, Ike Clanton and Tom McLaury entered Tombstone for supplies. However, they would end up having several violent run-ins with the Earps and Holiday before that. They, the Cowboys also, for those who don't know, were a large band of bandits who stole cattle and then sold the stolen herds, both on both sides of the border. So they stole from Mexico because Tombstone's not too far from the Mexico border. Like, it's really close. They robbed stagecoaches, were involved in the murders of 35 dudes at this point in history. Pretty significant. They got a pretty big head count on them.
Stole cows like a couple of naughty boys. There you go.
I know, yeah. And in Texas, that's still a law punishable by death. They have not taken that off of the thing.
I feel
cattle
like
wrestling is a big no-no.
I feel like there's a lot of random laws in Texas that are punishable by death that we don't know about.
But cattle wrestling is a huge one because that's expensive. Like, it's a very expensive trade. I raised one cow, and that was like, I'd be pissed.
Like if you're cattle wrestling in the modern age with like a gang on horseback and like a lasso and everything, I think you should be allowed. I think if you get away with it, you're home free because that's.
And if you're not, you should get hung.
Yeah,
we give you Old West torture and punishment.
Full on, yeah. I think like a TB dentist should cough in your mouth. I think everything. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, the dentist that's gonna cough in her mouth actually with these dudes. Billy Clinton rode into town and like they got kind of roughed up, apparently pistol whipped by some of the people, the two guys that came in, Ike and Tom. They got pistol whipped. And then whenever Billy comes in, Cough McGee, tuberculosis man, says, your dude's got pistol whipped, and then I'm pretty sure pistol whipped him. A few hours later, the Earps and Holiday actually saw several members of the gang in a vacant lot behind the OK Corral, and then 30-second gunfight started. According to the stuff, the Earps claimed it was self-defense because they had passed a law that was you're not allowed to have guns or something like that. So they were going to unarm them. That was the claim, and I don't remember exactly. Like, because again, there's so much to the story, so much hearsay, but the claim was, yeah, we're going to unarm them. That's what we're doing. How it goes is, I think Wyatt shoots first, if I'm not wrong. I think Wyatt shot first and shoots someone like, oh no, we don't know who shot first, but we know that he shoots somebody like point blank with a pistol. Holiday freaking shoots with a shotgun. Everybody except for Wyatt has wounds. 3 people are killed, and actually in the movie they have that scene of the 3 guys in the glass coffins. That's legit. That was actually accurate. There's a picture online you can see of them in the glass coffins. Like that's and they were actually people viewed it as a murder because they were like they weren't doing anything. You just came up and shot them, but the judge was just sort of like they're found not guilty, justified in committing these homicides. So it said justified in committing these homicides because you were going to unarm them. They claimed that they were unarmed. They weren't. They fired at you. It was self-defense. Perfect. It just seemed like a gang fight.
You don't think it was self-defense?
I feel like it was like a gang fight. I don't know. If it was self-defense, it would be like, I don't know. I feel there would more people would have testified that, yeah, they fired first. I don't know.
In this day and age, like, you don't testify. Like, there's no witness protection. There's no like whoever gang you betray is gonna shoot you before you can ever say anything.
Yeah.
I bet it was probably a. I don't think there's any real way to tell. I think emotions were high. It was tense. Trigger fingers were itchy. Something bad was going to happen. It did. And it did. I don't think there's any way to really know, like, the timeline of events there.
Which is bananas. But after that, people aren't happy because, the Cowboys viewed it as a murder. People in town, not everybody was like, "Oh wow, the Earps saved us." Like people were not happy about this. So then the Cowboys start the vendetta first because they viewed 3 of their members getting killed as an unjust thing. So then they go and put a hit out on Virgil and Morgan. They do injure Virgil and they kill Morgan, which is what causes Wyatt to go on the revenge vendetta ride with Doc. And then they eventually kill the people that they were like, "You're responsible for this," which has the best score in the movie. That's my favorite like musical moment. I like the like him just going about and just like, "Oh, we're gonna get him," and yeah, I don't know. There's a lot. Again, I couldn't get too deep into this. It was just so much information. It was overwhelming. But a lot of it's hearsay and people are not, especially modern day, more people are not as like, "Oh, the Earps are heroes." It's more like maybe they weren't.
Yeah. They had quicker trigger fingers. That's pretty much it.
Bah.
History is written by the person who shoots first.
It's true. Also, the whole idea of like quick draw competitions and just kind of a thing, very, very fantasized, not a really big thing that happened way back when. Apparently a town up in, it is expensive. You're not going to have a good aim if you just go like really fast, like if you're like dueling and stuff, of course you'd want to be faster, but there's a competition actually up in South Dakota in an old like Western town there where they have like quick draw competitions and a bunch of people show up in their little like duds and they're like, and it's like just all these people, and it's like half a second, just done.
How come it's totally socially acceptable to still dress up as a cowboy? Like,
yeah.
I mean, like, you don't see
what's
people
wrong with dressing
around,
up as a cowboy?
You look ridiculous.
Some people actually dress like that. Or are you talking about like the like with the what's it called? Like, okay, what parts of it are ridiculous? What are you talking about? What is a ridiculous cowboy outfit to you?
I'm talking anybody who's walking around in 2023 with cowboy boots, a cowboy hat, and like a duster like they're fucking Jesse James. That's ridiculous.
I get the duster, but cowboy boots, cowboy hat. No, because some people legit still work. Cowboy boots are a preferred thing to wear if you're working in agriculture because they do protect your toes compared to things that fall and stuff like that. And then the cowboy hat's just a cultural thing.
Let's be totally honest here. Most of the people who are wearing those cowboy boots are not working with agriculture.
In our area, but there's a lot of people that do.
Those people are fine. But the people who wear them every day and like hip y'all their way through life, I find obnoxious.
You mean the people that go to like TCU and SMU and A&M that have never seen or kicked shit in their life, and then they 100%. Buy a nice clean pair of boots, and then they go to the baseball or football game with their little shorts on, and they look like every other girl in the stands?
Yes.
Yeah, those people can kiss my ass. I actually put shit on my cowboy boots when I was in FFA, and I actually go to dance halls in my cowboy boots and do line dances and square dance and two-step because I love it. Yee yee. Like,
Well, if you're gonna wear the uniform, live the lifestyle. So good on you.
exactly. It's fun. I got my belt buckles, not because I bought them. I won those. I got 8.
I don't know. I see the cowboy as like a mythologized figure and not like a dude driving a Ford pickup down the road.
We're very much still in that lifestyle. It really grew up around the 60s with like the Cold War and people being scared of Russian invasion. We started to really hone in on our like American roots, and the American West has kind of taken hold of what America is. Because, like during the colonization, it was, oh, yes, like Eastern patriotism. And now, if you think of an American, you're going to think of like a Southerner or a Westerner, like, yeah, like cowboy hat and stuff. The West really has taken hold on this country, especially now because it's still kind of an untamed zone. It's not, but it is. You know, it went from being this place that was unconquerable, and then we conquered it kind of, and we messed it up, and now we're trying to bring it back to its roots of, well, we want it to be like it was with the cowboys, so maybe we should preserve some of these landscapes with the national parks, and maybe we should bring the bison back, and people are more down for that because they're like, yeah, cowboy fantasy, yee, like let's do it. And that's why the Western national parks are so big, and that's why they were formed, because it's just this obsession, because it wasn't you know urbanized as quickly as the East too. The East was just, that's why like national parks, the first like big one out there, I think was Shenandoah. I might not be correct. It's one of the ones in, it's either Shenandoah or it's Blue Ridge. It's one of those two. I think was one of the first ones out in the East. But they didn't have a lot because everything was just urbanized. It's tamed. Ugh. The West is cool. It's yee. It's wild. It's what America likes to think America is.
We have highways. It's time to hang it up.
It's like, really, like if you were going to be something as a kid for Halloween, are you going to be a cowboy with like your little like pistols, or are you going to be a New Yorker with like a baseball hat, going to the Yankees game and like your Utz bag of potato chips? Like,
well, I was Dracula, so I'm gonna have to sit this one out.
you'd be like, hey, use guys. New York bum, or do you want to be a cowboy?
I would much rather be a New York bum. Forget about it. What the fuck you looking at? Like I'd much rather do that.
I don't know. I like the Western stuff.
I'd like, be Tony Soprano before I'm John Wayne, 100%.
I'd be John Wayne, but that's another thing too. With the West, it's still such a fantasized place. It's still very much we think it was just like a bunch of cowboys, a lot of like white cowboys going out there and just like pa pa. But it's such a diverse area too. Like the amount of cultural studies you can do on the West is significant compared to anywhere else. And I think that's another reason why people are so interested in it, because you have Black history, you have Native American history, you have Asian American history, you have indigenous, I already said Native American, you have Hispanic and Latino, you have white, you have all of these different cultures are all represented in the West. You don't have that in the Eastern states like you do here. You really don't. And I think that's another reason why people like it so much, because all of them, like every culture pretty much in the US, boom, in the West.
Okay. Yes. I do believe that it's very culturally significant, and there's a lot of potential for mining of new and previously untold stories. That does not mean I need to see a cowboy walking around at the gas station. If this was England and some dude was walking around dressed as a medieval knight, everyone would be like, why is he doing that?
I'd be a little, yeah, but that's hundreds of years ago. Cowboy was like 100.
It's still triple digits.
Cowboy was 100. That's a century ago. Not multiple centuries ago.
What's the cutoff?
More than 1 century ago. Cowboy was like 1.25 centuries ago.
At what point does it
become...
Evil
was 5 point something centuries ago.
I don't know. It's just it's not all. It's always, it's never just like the costume. It's always like the persona as well. They're always like, well, I tell you what, how can I help you? And like picking their teeth with a gun and shit. Like, it's obnoxious. You're not Billy the Kid. Stop it. This is clearly a personal problem of mine.
I don't like it when it, like what we said, when it's like someone who's all like, I grew up in St. Louis and I went to school at A&M and now I have an accent and I wear my boots and I got gross. But if it's someone who's genuinely grown up in that area, it's a culture thing. Like if it'd be like if I went to New York and I was just like, "Hey, what's the matter with you? Hey, you guys," and just like started dressing like I don't know what they dress like up there. I don't think different than me, but like I don't know, some like Eastern attire, and I'm just like, "Yep, like that's what I am now." Yeah, you could kick me in the ass because like, no, that's not who you are. Like,
if you're
appropriating that culture.
If you moved to New York City or like Newark or something and lived there for like 6 months and then came back here only wearing like custom Italian suits and like slicked back hair, sunglasses, and only talking like fucking Tony Soprano, we're gonna hang out a lot more because that's hilarious.
I'm only gonna speak like the Fonz.
Hey, what's going on here? Hey, what's up with you? Oh my god. Oh my, we go to an Italian restaurant. Hold up, it's gonna get weird.
It's like Gorlami.
Oh, grazie. Okay. Anything else on Doc Holliday and the gunfight?
No, do you have anything? Did you learn anything cool?
I learned that Val Kilmer could have been huge if he just stopped being such a dick on the set of Batman.
I didn't realize he was only in one Batman. What did he do?
He was a rude motherfucker who was just a difficult presence. He belittled everybody. He was mean. He was rude. He was sexist. He put a cigarette out on an extra on the set of The Island of Dr. Moreau. He was a dick. He can sugarcoat it as much as he wants. There is a lot of people who back up that Val Kilmer was a menace on almost every set he was on. That's why his career disappeared in the 90s.
He's like my second favorite Batman. That makes me sad.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. Because also it's nostalgia. Same thing with like why I like Pocahontas so much and all that. I grew up religiously every weekend from age like 10 to 14. Batman Returns, Batman Forever. Like I at some point had every single one of those movies memorized. I could do the entire thing. I could act it out. Like I was into them. Michael Keaton, favorite Batman, and then Val Kilmer, second favorite Batman because of the movies. It's just nostalgia. I love it. Like, so it just makes me happy. The only Batman I don't like is freaking, what's his name? George Clooney.
I had all 4 of those films on tape and I watched them religiously as a kid as well. I loved them to death, but even I was like, I like this movie, but he's not a very good Batman.
I like him. I think it's just because
Pattinson's number 2 for me, then Bale, then Affleck, then actually Conroy's at the top. Nobody's ever topping Conroy.
Yeah, I don't ever count the voice actors in that because I'm like, they're their own thing. We love them.
They're god tier. No one's ever touching Conroy and Hamill. But yeah, Kilmer I just don't like the man. All the stories I hear about him, I'm just like, why did anybody tolerate this shit for so long? He wasn't even that big. He just thought he was.
That's why he got throat cancer. Ooh, got him.
Oh, fuck. Ow. Jeez. Wow. Okay. What happened to not wishing death on people?
It's not wishing death on somebody.
That's death. That's a death sentence.
You can survive cancer.
Yeah, not everybody.
But you can survive. My dad's a cancer survivor.
Well, Val lost his voice, and that's pretty bad for an actor.
I'm sorry. Does that mean he died?
His career
died. See?
That's a death. You wished a death on his career. That's just as bad.
No, I don't wish anybody to get cancer, but that's a shame. I didn't know that he was like that. Especially as soon as you said like on the set of Batman, like how dare you on Tim Burton's last Batman, the weird one. I know it wasn't entirely his. He didn't have as much on it as he did.
He didn't have anything to do with it. He just put his name.
But like, they already had problems with Tommy Lee Jones. You're gonna add to that.
That like he would literally just be like, I'm not coming, like this is stupid, I don't want to work today. And he would just yell. Yeah, him and Joel Schumacher like stopped talking to each other. It got so heated they wouldn't talk to each other. And Schumacher was like, I will not have this guy in my next Batman. Get me the dude from ER. And Clooney. I mean, there's more to it than that, but that's the gist.
That makes sense why he's like the one out of the Bat family that's not consistent. Michael Go's the only one. Michael Go, all of them. Look at that.
He was the only good part of the Flash.
I was so sad when I found out he died. I was like, no.
Yeah, the Flash movie was, I liked it, but nobody else did. But Keaton brought his A game because that's all he knows how to do. Yeah, it was cool. Well, let's take a quick break and then we'll talk the film. So let's talk some categories on Tombstone. Let's start with scene. What are some scenes of this movie that you think stand out?
Everyone that Val Kilmer's in. Like when they introduce him, it's great. It's great when they introduce him. And then the best one. I forgot how much I love this scene. This is probably up there in scenes of movies. Freaking when him and Johnny Ringo are having that little like little thing. And Johnny Ringo's like with the little pistol, and then Val Kilmer freaking with the cup and the eyes, the things he does with his eyes are just like, like he just gives him the look. I'm like, I love this. This is the best. I wish that was real. I hope that I know it's like we no way to know that, but I love that. I love that so much.
It was awesome. I love that Doc's just making fun of him the whole time. He's just like, if I wanted to kill you, you'd be dead. That's what that whole thing just says. Like, you're not even you're a fly on a horse's ass to me.
Just cup. I also like when what's his name from Titanic is doing his little not the guy looking for the diamond, but
what's his name? Yeah, the other guy from Titanic.
When he's like acting and then they're all in the theater and they're like, yeah, and they're like shooting up. I watched a podcast on this where somebody was like, why is it okay for them to be shooting in a theater and the sheriff's in there and he don't care, and then freaking Curly Bill goes out and he's just shooting at the moon and they're like, hey, Curly Bill, you better not be doing that. Like, why was it okay they were shooting in a building? Like, and I was like, that's a good point. Random podcast guy. Like, that is a good point.
I loved how like Billy Zane was totally nonplussed by the fact that people are shooting at him.
Just like, whatever.
And also, like, he does Hamlet, right? Is that the?
Mm-hmm. I think that's what he's doing because he has the skull, right?
Yeah, he does the whole to be or not to be thing.
Is that Hamlet?
I think, yeah, that's Hamlet. Was he doing Hamlet? Now I'm not sure.
I can't. It's Shakespeare.
It was Shakespeare. I can't find it right now. But I love that Curly Bill's like, that was really good. Like, that's the kind of acting I want to see. Like, he gets very impressed by that. I thought that was funny. I kept thinking like, boo, yeah. And he's gonna kill him. But no, he was like,
yeah, it's Hamlet.
That's funny. I think the gunfight at the OK Corral scene is done very well. I think in just that scene, I think is very historically accurate and done very well. And it's just super tense and very exciting. And if you don't know how this unfolded, it's very unpredictable.
Yeah.
I love Doc's final confrontation with Johnny Ringo. That is one of the greatest gunfight. That's one of the greatest gunfights in movie history, where he's just, by Johnny Ringo, you look like someone just walked over your grave. That's so
back, bitch.
That's so cool. And of course, he emerges from the fucking trees, going, "I'm your Huckleberry." Like, that became, oh my god, that I've heard that so many different times from random people. It's become an iconic line.
Kurt Russell might have said he made and directed this movie. Val Kilmer. This is a Val Kilmer film. I don't care what anybody says. This is him. I don't care how big of a douche he is. If he was not in this movie, I don't think it would be as popular.
You're right, because they did this without Val Kilmer, and it wasn't as popular. The Wyatt Earp movie that came out the year after with Dennis Quaid as Doc, and it did not do nearly as good as Tombstone.
Was it the same guys as everybody else, or no?
No, it was like Costner
Oh,
was
okay.
Wyatt Earp, and Costner directed it. It was just more self indulgent and more about Wyatt Earp than about the relationship.
It's just, ugh. Um, I didn't really I don't care for like forced romances in these movies. I get what they're trying to do to like appeal to the more like feminine people who are like, "Ugh, this is just too like broy." So they have that little like love affair between what's her name and Wyatt. I didn't care for that. I know like they get together and stuff afterwards. I'm pretty like, yeah, they end up getting, but like, I don't care. I don't need to see them riding horses and her being like, I'm gonna go down and ha 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 ha, come get me. And he's like, oh, I'm an old tree or whatever the saying is, like it's, I don't give a shit. I don't care.
I'm an
Like this
old
is
tree.
not, I would rather see more of Doc Holliday being crazy and just being like, oh, he's whatever. I don't even remember all of his lines, man. I can't remember them. But the thing about like the guy learning, I hate him. Like,
Uh, one of my favorite scenes is we talked about it a little bit already when Wyatt kicks Billy Bob Thornton out of the saloon, just walks up to him unarmed and just starts like smacking him and says like, "You gonna do something or are you gonna sit there and bleed?" That's some cool shit. And then eventually, like Billy Bob comes back with a shotgun and is about to start mowing him down, and they run into Doc and just ignore the guy. And at one point, Doc's like, "Oh, sorry, I forgot you were there." And the guy's just
like
like, "Are you Wyatt Earp?" He's like, "I am." He's like, "I'm sorry." Just doesn't even fight. He's like, "I didn't know." He puts down the shotgun and just walks away. He's like, "Thank you for not killing me." That was cool. I like that. I like that a lot.
see, I'm telling you, he really does it. Evidently, Mr. Ringo's an educated man. Now I really hate him. Like, it's just, yes, I know. Why don't we have a spelling contest?
That's a good. All right, that's a good transition to favorite lines. Yeah, let's just keep it going. Uh, one of my favorites is from Wyatt when after Morgan's dead and he just goes crazy on the Cowboys, and he says he captures one of them and tells him to go, and he says, "So run, you cur, run. Tell all the other curs the law's coming. You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me. You hear? Hell's coming with me." From Wyatt Earp, the man everyone in the West is afraid of. You just pissed him off. You killed his brother. Hell hath no fury like an Earp man scorned. And yeah, he delivers.
I love that. It is. That's a good one. I think Kurt Russell has a. I think everybody in this movie is a really good performer. I think Kurt Russell is really good. I really like Sam Elliott as Virgil. The other Titanic guy, also Apollo 13
Bill
guy as
Paxton.
Morgan.
Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton, that guy. I think he does a good job. I really like this is a Val Kilmer Kurt Russell where they see the hot lady for the first time and Kurt Russell's like, oh, well, I'll be damned. And Val Kilmer's like, you may be if you get lucky. Like, haha, that just made me smirk. I like when Bill Paxton, when Morgan, they go out after a night out and all the wives are with them and they're looking up at the stars and they're talking about mortality and stuff. And he was just like, man, God made all that and he still remembered to make a little speck like me. I'm like, that's wholesome. I like that. Like that one made me smile. And then this one just was like, oh, like this one did get me. So you don't need to put in all the romance in there. Like I don't need that forced like love arc between them. I did enjoy seeing the way Virgil and his wife, whenever he was shot and she was like, they're like cry. I was like, no, Virgil, like to me, I don't know. I've always been a sucker for like the like my spouse is incapacitated and I gotta help him out or like no like don't leave me like that really stressful. I've always liked that probably because Disney got me on that where it's like no like don't leave me and it's just I don't know but I like whenever she's crying and he's like oh my arm's not working anymore and he's like it's okay I still got a good arm to hold you like I'm like oh I'm like that was a good line. I was like that's all I need. I'm like, I'm cool. I don't need any other romance in that movie. Just that one line. I've still got a good arm to hold you. Like,
writing a believable
It's
romance
beautiful.
is really hard to do because almost every movie in existence has some kind of relationship story in it. And a lot of them feel forced because they have to be there because the studio's like, women aren't going to see this unless there's love in it, which is bullshit, but that's the way they think. So when you have one that feels real, it's special and you can always tell. And there was something about Virgil and his relationship there that you bought it.
Yeah, the Allie Virgil one, it was like sideline, but that was like,
Yeah, it's like they have their own thing going on. This is all secondary. Like they don't need to be here.
it's beautiful. That one made me smile. I'm like, like that's so cute. Like, I hope my husband gets shot, and then he says that's not really, but like, if my husband was shot and he said that, I'd be like, wow.
I I hope you're not like I hope you're in the moment being like, I gotta get you to a fucking hospital and not like, oh, that's romantic.
Aw, look at that. He said, I still got a good arm to hold you. I still got one good eye to see you. Like,
Oh, I hope somebody there is like calling 911 trying to like drag his ass onto the curb or something. That's
he
hilarious.
said the line.
He gets shot and you suddenly go into like romance mode and he's just like, get help. And you're like, no, say it. You got to say it.
Just say the line. You still have one good what? One good artery? One good artery to beat for me. One good leg to walk to me. You can say everything. You can do it. One good leg or one good ear to hear me. Like,
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, another Doc Holliday line I love is when he pulls a gun on Billy Clanton, who says, "You're so drunk you can't hit nothing. In fact, you're probably seeing double." And he's like, "I got two guns, one for each of you."
like,
Oh.
one for each of you. Like, we love you, Doc Holliday.
During the or right before the gunfight scene where Frank McLaury tells him, "I've got you now, you son of a bitch," and Doc responds, "You're a daisy if you do." He really did say that. That's a real line from history. Doc Holliday said that at the gunfight at OK Corral, and now it's been immortalized in film. That is cool.
I love that.
You're a daisy if you do.
Another Doc Holliday line from the movie. I think when he's like gambling and getting little bananas, somebody starts calling him out, and then Wyatt comes in and is just like, "Hey, like now calm down now." He's just getting a little ahead of himself, but he's like, "I have not yet begun to defile myself." Like,
We've all got a friend who's like too smart for his own good and is just a walking smartass who gets himself into trouble. Like mine knows who he is.
it's just it's
No. It's funny. You have those moments where you're like, is this worth it? But then you have those other moments where you're like, fuck yeah, it's worth it. This is the greatest day ever.
it's great.
Doc Holliday. Let's talk a bit about the music. The score was by Bruce Broughton. Some of his other work includes Silverado, Young Sherlock Holmes, Harry and the Hendersons, The Monster Squad, The Rescuers Down Under, So I Married an Axe Murderer. Good stuff. Yeah, big successful guy. Bambi 2, never mind. Well, can't win them all. It's a good score. It's good, rousing, adventurous Western score, reminiscent of Ennio Morricone's work. Yeah, well, less the Italian ones, more the American ones, but still. One of my favorite music moments is when Morgan Earp gets assassinated, just shot in the back by a bunch of fucking cowards out of nowhere. The score gets very terrifying and ominous and scary, and it's just like, bah! It's like the audience gets shot with the music just as he gets shot. It's a good like jarring moment.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, the score didn't impress me too much. This is not one that I would go back and listen to very frequently. I really enjoy scores of movies, but this one's like, like I've heard better. I don't hate it, but it's not one that really stood out to me. I did like the Vendetta ride though score at the end. To me, that just really made it like this is personal. It's just like, oh man, kind of a thing, and him just no, 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 just going and shooting people like. But yeah, there wasn't really a lot score wise that I even wrote down because I'm like,
Fair enough.
It's good, but it wasn't like
Western scores tend to bleed together. There's this vibe you have to kind of capture of the old West. Like if you played 5 different Western movie scores for me, I'm probably not going to be able to tell you what movie they're from, unless it's like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or one of the iconic scores.
Yeah.
But like if you played me The Searchers, Unforgiven, High Noon, and Tombstone, I don't think I'd be able to do it. I love those movies, but I couldn't do it. And that's nothing, that's not anything against the composer. That's just the way the Western crumbles, I guess. We talked a little bit about performances. Obviously, if you had to pick one, this is Val Kilmer's movie. His performance as Doc Holliday is his greatest role. We have pretty much all accepted that as a society.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I've looked at this for hours now.
I recommend checking out that documentary. It's on Prime. It's called Val. It's made from he's been recording himself in like a video diary since the 80s. And this is built up of all of those. It's narrated by his son. And he pretty much tries to take his image and make it a little nicer. And I think it's him being, regretful after the throat cancer took away the one thing he could do. But it's a good watch. He talks about Tombstone, talks about Batman, he talks about Top Gun. Doesn't talk about Dr. Moreau that much, but then again, most people don't because that movie was a disaster. Yeah, good watch. If you had to pick a second place, who else would who gets the silver in Tombstone?
I say Sam Elliott. I like Sam Elliott. He's just such a good Western actor. I like him. I like him. Anytime I see him in a West, I'm like, like it's Eagleton Ron. Like, we love you. Where's his trusty Birkenstocks?
Eagleton Ron. I haven't thought about that in a long time. That's awesome. Yeah, Sam Elliott's the man. Virgil Earp. Probably if you had to pick one of these guys to represent true justice, it's him.
Yeah.
I think Michael Biehn is fantastic as Johnny Ringo, just this psychopath waiting for an opportunity to kill everybody who has wronged him. Powers Booth is great as Curly Bill. Always love Powers Booth. He's such an underrated character actor. Always plays such big, boisterous characters. And I like him as Curly Bill. Bill Paxton kills it. Billy Bob Thornton in his one scene kills it. This is a fantastic cast. Cool. With that, let's see what Letterboxd has to say on our final segment, What's in the Box.
Wait, I didn't get to rank my mustaches.
Oh, never mind. Let's curb that. Rewind. You didn't hear that. Let's rank these mustaches.
I forgot. So this is not in any particular order. This is just I heard a name and I liked the mustache, and this is the quick little sentence I wrote plus a out of 10 ranking. So Curly Bill Rosas, good shape, good point, and color. Bonus points for the tiny soul patch. 7 out of 10. Johnny Ringo, see above, but with better soul patch. 8 out of 10. Wyatt Earp, good length and fullness, clean cut. Would be an 8 out of 10 if it had a soul patch, but there is none, therefore 6 out of 10. Virgil Earp, very full, good color, but not trimmed well. Also 6 out of 10. Morgan Earp, nothing to write home about. 5 out of 10.
Back up real quick. You are giving Sam Elliott, the king of the movie mustache, a 6 out of 10.
Yes. It's passing.
It barely. He's known for the mustache. He's the mustache. That's I disagree.
I have very particular mustaches. If I could grow a mustache, I would grow pretty much. Actually, no, none of these guys I would grow what they have. The closest, honestly, would be what Val Kilmer did, except mine would be curled. be like, "Mwah," and then I'd have like that, not like super curl, but it would be like whoop, and then have like a little like twist at the end, not like a lot, but enough that it goes wee. So Doc Holliday, well trimmed and curled at the ends, nice to soul patch, 9 out of 10. No one gets a 10 out of 10. John Beam, C. Wyatt Earps ranking. So yeah, he also gets 6 out of 10. Fred Wyatt, well trimmed, white beard and mustache combo. Not my favorite, but not bad. 7 out of 10. Johnny Tyler, messy sideburns and beard, but nice salt and pepper color. 6 out of 10. Creek Johnson, too much going on the top, nothing below. 5 out of 10. And Jack Vermillion, mustache and goatee plus long hair equals dashing look. 8 out of 10. And then I said I'm gonna rank the hats too because that's where I was at because I like the Western look. I dig the three-piece suit. Like, again, I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep saying how much I love Val Kilmer in this movie. The nice like red vest he's got on with the flat brimmed hat and the night he just like Western guy right there. So wide flat brim cowboy hats are literally my favorite. 10 out of 10. Virgil, he's got a classic. He's got the little like whoop, classic cowboy hat. 9 out of 10, not bad. Morgan, slight curve but still a very nice hat. 9 out of 10. Doc Hollidays, 10 out of 10. I love the wide brimmed flat hat. That's my favorite. John Beam, bowler hat, another classic. 9 out of 10. Fred Wyatt, another bowler hat, also 9 out of 10, but it doesn't match his head very well. So we'll go maybe like 8.5 out of 10. Johnny Tyler, not a bowler hat, also not a wide brimmed hat, so therefore 5 out of 10. Not very good. Curly Bill, also not my choice, but the most unique hat in the movie. Therefore, he gets 8 out of 10. Johnny Ringo, decent hat and smart to have a chin strap. 7 out of 10. And finally, Josephine Marcus, stupid tiny hats. Not a fan. Reminds me of Kentucky Derby people. 1 out of 10.
Oh my god! Wow. Well done. That was impressive.
Okay, now we can do what's in the box. What's in the box?
That's hysterical.
And then the little punching box noise.
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
All right, on Letterboxd, Tombstone's rocking 3.8 out of 5. That's great. It is personally a 4 out of 5 for me. This is a fantastic movie. I have 4 reviews here, all one positive, 3 negative. This first one's from Jaybird, who is the king of the Letterboxd limerick. Every review this guy does is a limerick, and he's done thousands of limericks. Cowboys in town bring the hustle, so they're forced to call in Kurt Russell, though not impartial, because he's a marshal. He's got Val Kilmer as muscle.
Oh, okay.
4 stars.
That's pretty good.
I fell down a rabbit hole with this guy. I've read so many of his reviews. He's hilarious. He's creative. He publishes a lot every day. He just does nothing but watch movies and turn them into limericks. I wish I had that kind of time. This next one's from Eld Mountain. Val Kilmer must have gotten arthritis from carrying the entire weight of this ridiculous movie on his back. 1 star. Yeah, you got a point. You got a point.
Yeah, but that would be also saying the other actors are bad, and they're not.
They're not. But Val is on a different level. He's making his own movie that happens to be being shot in the middle of Tombstone.
Which is why most of our favorite lines are Val Kilmer.
Pretty much.
Because again, you could have said any of those lines, but the way he delivers them is what makes it good. The delivery. One for the para, yeah.
This next one's from Scuttle What Up. I wasn't a big Western guy before this movie, and it turns out I'm still not. 1.5. Sorry, Scuttle.
I feel like this is one that would get you into Westerns.
Right? Do you remember what your first Western was?
Probably this.
Oh.
No, I think it was actually The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Nice. That's well done. Mine was the 2007 remake of 3:10 to Yuma. If you don't count Back to the Future 3.
Which, I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, you shouldn't. No. I can't tell you that can't be your first West. That's not a Western. But 3:10 to Yuma is, and that was fun. And I was like, this is cool. I want more of this. This last one's from Harry Cavey. Everyone who says they like this film is a liar. 1 star. Ouch.
Liar.
I love looking at the super negative reviews of critically acclaimed and beloved movies because it's always so petty and just mostly trolls, but also some really sad, lonely people.
Yeah.
If you can't have fun with this movie, like I don't know what you like. How do you have fun?
It's a good movie. I enjoy it. It's a good just movie. Like not looking at the historic because it's not like super inaccurate. I don't know if I would put this as true or false, but it's a good movie. Like it really is. Like I did not enjoy 300. I personally did not like that movie. I really liked this movie. I wasn't a big like Amityville Horror was okay. It's not that I hated it, but it's just the story pisses me off. I don't believe that family to this day. So like no, like it's meh.
So if during the gunfight at the OK Corral, 8-foot tall giants had shown up and fought with the Cowboys, would you immediately be
Pissed.
out with this movie?
And out. See you later.
Doc Holliday picks up a spear. A bunch of people go, hoo-ah, and start attacking the Cowboys Spartan style.
Then they have the chiseled, CGI pecs.
Why, Xerxes, it looks like you look like someone just walked over your grave. That's hysterical. So ultimately, if you had to rank this true or fake, where would you put it?
I should be able to answer this because that's the whole point of this whole thing. I should have already had an answer for this, but I still don't know.
I'm gonna go with true. I'm gonna go with true. I think that the attention to detail was impressive. They actually did use some lines from actual history, and the gunfight on which the film is centered around was pretty accurate. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it true.
But then we're like vilifying people that aren't necessarily actually villains and making people into heroes who weren't necessarily heroes, which is why that makes it so difficult.
We're not doing that. I mean,
I know we're not doing it, but the movie's doing that. And is that true? No.
Only if you view it in that way. I mean, you can watch this with the mindset of there are no heroes because this was the old West. This was the untamable frontier, and every man was out.
No, I think the movie makes it pretty clear that they're trying to make those dudes into heroes.
Doc Holliday confesses to being in love with his cousin on his deathbed.
He does. That was fantastic.
Yeah,
I had to rewind. I was like, hold up.
I don't know if they're really painting him as a hero here.
It's like, go back. What? Why have I never heard that before? I would say because I put League of Their Own as true, despite the fact that that one was not thing, then yeah, I would put this one as true because League of Their Own was also it was true to what it was trying to talk about. It didn't actually put, I don't know, this follows the narratives laid out by ERP supporters pretty well, which is true. But if you're not a ERP supporter, false.
I think down the road we might want to tackle Wyatt Earp, Kevin Costner's take on this, and see if it's a little different or a little bit more accurate or a little less accurate. I'm not talking in 2 months, but I'm talking in a few years when we've got Tombstone out of our system and we want to go back to this story. That might be a good way to do it.
No, I don't want to read any more Western stuff. Dr. Brown, I'm sorry. The West is too difficult.
I did a whole paper on serial killers, and he was very much I shouldn't have let you do this, but you did it, so here's a B.
Thanks, dude. I talked about animals in a history class, so I said bison.
I went and gave my 2 professors my printed thesis today. Got to go see them.
Ew.
That was cool.
I never got a print. I need to print my thesis.
Yeah, I got it bound in a leather thing, with a title. It's a book. My copy, my dad has in Virginia. He wants to read it, so I'll never see that again. So I'm gonna have to get another copy. But
as soon as I graduated, I celebrated, and then I moved here, and I'm just I'm done. Bye writing. I need to actually do my thesis better, not for thesis purposes, but to actually publish it because it's like the San Marcos history thing. At some point I'll
they
do that,
really
but
wanted you.
I
Like
don't
they were
want
kind of counting on you to do something with that, weren't they?
and I'm like, now.
I forgot about that. Yeah, you told like they were.
Uh-huh.
That was a big
They
deal.
really want me to write. They really want me to write more about it because they're like, this seems like a thing that you should do. And I'm like, not right now.
Yeah.
In the future.
Mine was
I'm
like
tired.
my guys were like, so Dr. Mellor pointed out, like he said, this was the fourth one of like recent one that he'd gotten bound from a student he advised. He pointed him out. He's like, this one's going to be a doctoral dissertation. This one's going to be an article. This one's going to be a book, and we got to figure out something for you. And I'm like, that's a lot of pressure.
It's going to be bound and sitting on your shelf. You're welcome.
This is probably going to be the last time you're ever going to touch that until you like move offices.
Right. Yeah, I pissed off.
Yeah. And then the other guy was like, so when are you going to do your doctorate? And I'm like, what? Academia never stops.
I never want to go back to school.
I'm waiting on responses for interviews. Like I'm in. I'm about to. The beginning is upon me.
What, to be a doctor?
To be a teacher.
Oh, well, yeah, teaching, cool. Doctor, no. I don't want to do assignments anymore. I'm done.
If they're gonna like, if I can get into a program where like they pay for it, I'm gonna do it.
Okay, that's fair. If someone were to pay for me to be a doctor, okay. Am I gonna pay to be a doctor? No. I don't know. I say that. I also said I was never gonna get my master's, and here I am, Isabel Gonzalez, public historian.
There you go.
On my resume.
Eyzaguirre, film historian. We're living the life.
I hate it. Anyway, this is Filmgazm. Tombstone. We got a fun one in October, but I think we're still keeping that a secret. So
no, I'm gonna announce what it is as soon as I do the outros here.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you like the show, feel free to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or X, or whatever you want to call that, Dumpster Fire. Filmgazm Productions. If you want to suggest films for us to check out, you can email us at filmgazm@gmail.com or send us a message through any of our socials. Check out our Letterboxd accounts for daily reviews. You can search for me at Connor95. In my friends list, you can find the rest of the team. Check out the website, filmgazm.com, where I have a link to that letterbox if you want to read the reviews. You can also find articles, trailers of upcoming films, and every episode of our show. If you'd like to become a monthly donor to Filmgazm Productions, feel free to click on the link in the episode description. From there, click on Support This Podcast. You can choose to donate $1 a month, $5 a month, or $10 a month. All donations go right back into the show. Thanks to the entire Filmgazm team for their contributions to the show, and thanks to you for checking it out. Reminder that Fake True Stories is not a weekly show. We put one together whenever we've both got the time and whenever we're ready. And in honor of upcoming spooky season, it's looking like the next one is going to be The Conjuring. One of the spookiest, most successful horror films of the past 20 years. And depending on who you talk to, either one of the greatest triumphs of man over supernatural evil or 100% manufactured bullshit. There's no middle ground. It's either Ed and Lorraine Warren are either the greatest heroes the world has ever seen or absolute con men taking advantage of idiots. And we're going to look into that, and I'm pretty sure I know where we're going to end up on that.
Con men.
Yeah, unless we somehow uncover the existence of spirits beyond this world, which I can't tell the future, but I doubt it. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I hate horror movies, so I'm not looking
I
forward
think
to
at this point, I don't think you hate horror movies as much as you say you hate horror.
You haven't shown me demonic stuff, Connor. You have not shown me
we
things
did
that okay, that's not the same as from, I don't know. I've heard The Conjuring is more demonic than that stuff. Like, I wear homie on my neck like pretty much every day. I believe in this. It spooks me out. I thought there were ghosts in this house, and I definitely got holy water and said, just in case. I said, doesn't hurt if I was like, my roommates don't believe, therefore to them it's just water.
Keep this in mind. With The Conjuring, there is very little evidence that anything actually happened in that house. Most of it is manufactured by Hollywood. I remember reading that in the I'm pretty sure the Warrens were there for like a couple days and then told politely to leave, and then they wouldn't, and so they were told a lot less politely to leave.
So get out.
Now, if we were doing The Conjuring 2, then you'd have something to worry about. That might have happened.
Why are we not doing The Conjuring 2?
Because we got to do The Conjuring 1 first. Those are the rules. 1, 2, 3, not 2, 1, 3. What is this? Communist Russia? Like, what are we, crazy?
Yes.
Well, yeah, The Conjuring next month at some point in October. It'll be really fun. And I haven't seen that movie in a while. It'll be fun to watch that again. Talk about Bathsheba. Was that her name? I don't remember. And the Parent House and the hide and go seek with the clapping and all that crazy, evil, scary shit. It's a good movie. Well, in the meantime, take it easy. Keep watching movies, and we'll see you next time.